Hello and welcome to Jump and Shoot Bros. I'm Jeremy. I'm Caleb.
I jump.
I shoot.
We're bros.
We are bros. Also, we play video games. Did you
Sometimes.
Did you know that?
Did you know?
Did you know we play Mega Man?
Once in a while.
Hey,
for the
this
past
is
12, 13, 14, no, 16, 18 weeks. I don't know.
This is Caleb for Did You Know Gaming from Jump and Shoot Bros. I'm here to tell you about Did You Know about Jump and Shoot Bros.
Yeah.
We play video games.
There is a Did You Know Gaming at Jump and Shoot Bros. It's the only question is, did you know there's a stream called Jump and Shoot Bros?
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yep. So we're playing games, and we're continuing our legacy of playing Mega Man.
Yeah.
Which is
last week, I believe.
Is actually Jeremy's legacy of playing Mega Man,
Yeah.
and my legacy of sitting here.
Second to last week of Mega Man, probably second to last or third to last week. We might do Shovel Knight of the stream in its original time slot.
Yeah. Well, is next week it's going to start to get questionable. Kind of get hairy, isn't it? About whether we're going to get there. The timing may be a little iffy.
and then possibly taking on a second job on Monday nights. But we will stream when we get around to it. It may not be every week, maybe twice in a week. It just depends on what we got going on, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know. Excuse me. Wait. How many jobs are you gonna have? 3, 4?
Well, remember I said I was going to go possibly start working Monday nights through the summer.
Oh man, lots of jobs, man.
Yeah.
That's 3 jobs.
That's 3 jobs.
3. It's a lot of jobs.
I'm trying to stack up money through the summer.
I only have 1, and I only do that 4 days a week.
Yeah.
Wow, what a privileged life I lead.
I mean, I could do literally the same thing that you're doing and have no, but I will be doing exactly what you're doing, except on my days that I'm not working at Defenders, I will be also doing other jobs. So. Well,
okay. You know, the point is that starting next week, things are going to get a little hairy. Not too bad, though.
Just, you know, once in a while, occasionally we will.
We'll probably be late. I mean, there's a fairly good chance that we might be late next week, just depending on the circumstances. Actually, no, there's literally no chance.
No, I won't be with you. You're not going to be able to train me because I'm working Mondays and you're off Thursday. Well, I'm off Thursdays too, so I guess you'll be able to train me 3 days a week. Yeah. So he's going to train me for the job that I've had for 6 years and he's had for 1 year.
Yeah. He's coming back, and I'm going to be training him. He's done it for 6 years, and I've been there for 1 year, but I've been there more recently than you because I'm currently there.
Yeah,
it makes perfect sense. You trained me when I got there.
Right.
Now I'm gonna train you now that you're coming back.
Okay, so today we're playing another Rockman 4 ROM hack. This is Burst Chaser Cross Air Sliding.
Now I got a question for you, Jeremy.
Yeah.
You said this was a smash together of 2 ROM hacks.
Well, Burst Chaser is a
4 and 1 for 5.
Yeah, so Burst Chaser, it doesn't have anything but 5 in it. Rockman 4 Burst Chaser was a faster moving. I think it may have just been a straight ROM hack where they just hacked like the shots and the enemy movements and Mega Man's movements to move faster.
Okay.
Air sliding was a Mega Man 5 ROM hack where you could slide in the air.
That was literally all that air sliding was?
I didn't watch through it, I didn't play through it, but that's pretty much the gist.
Okay.
Burst Chaser Cross Air Sliding is a completely new game, kind of like Minus Infinity. But with the same assets and but different stage designs. Okay. Not as creative, not near as creative as Minus Infinity. Minus Infinity was a good time.
But Burst Chaser Cross Air Sliding is kind of like they took the mechanics of both of those and put them into a game with new level design.
So it's much faster, the pace is much faster, and you can slide in the air.
Okay.
And so what they did is they redesigned the levels so that you would need to move faster and that you would need to be able to slide in the air. Because there's nothing in old Mega Man games where you would need those things.
Right, okay.
So they redesigned the levels to make it make sense to have these things. So still a cool game, still fun, just not necessarily anything like over the top amazing like what Minus Infinity was.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds like a good time. Let's get right on in there.
So I'm gonna run over to Pharaoh Man.
Oh, let me ask you a question there, Jeremy. Did you do any research into the topic we're going to be talking about today?
A little bit. I looked into Final Fantasy. Oh shit! This is gonna take me a little time to
looks a little bit quick.
It's fun. It's
looks like
cool.
Mega Man's movement speed has been...
Dude, I'm gonna die so many times just undershooting and overshooting my jump.
This is gonna completely negate any kind of...
Look at the bullet speed.
Yep. I imagine this is gonna negate any kind of muscle memory you have about Mega Man.
Yes, already I'm gonna switch out the rush coil. Oh wait. Oh yeah, there's fast weapon switching with the select button. Sweet.
Do you have air sliding though?
Yeah.
Are you sure you needed the rush coil for that?
Well, you can't slide up.
No, but there's a platform over the side.
Oh yeah,
that
that
jumped higher and then air slid.
Look
how far can you
I
air
am
slide
already. Holy
yeah,
shit.
you're fucked, dude.
Yeah, I'm not. I probably won't be beating this game tonight.
we'll just play it until we're tired.
We're gonna
of
play.
this.
This will not be a game that I feel like I need to play through to completion. We'll just play it until we're done playing it.
Can you air slide?
Oh yeah,
hell yeah. How far can you air slide?
Pretty far.
Sick. Movement options, my favorite.
Yeah.
I'm not being sarcastic. I love varied movement options.
Shit! Look at that. Look at this. Look at the ladder climb.
Yep. The ladder climbs are. Is this a speed running?
Oh
people speed run this one.
People. There is. They call it the BCast community.
Okay.
And their little line that they use is BCast owns for some reason. I don't know.
Okay.
But it's a big deal. It's a big speedrunning community for this game because of this. I mean, holy crap!
Yeah. I mean, it's built for speed.
Yeah, and it's built for
almost
being
like
good
Sonic the Hedgehog.
It's built for being good at the game too.
It has the same problems as Sonic the Hedgehog.
What's that? Oh, running into
You're
enemies.
going so fast that you're not actually. It's difficult to even control it properly.
Right.
Gotta go fast. Well, Jeremy, we have a topic today. What's our topic? You want to go ahead and get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Get right on into it. Well, our topic for this week is something that's near and dear to my heart, and that is remakes.
Yeah.
Remasters. Suck?
Yeah, I don't know.
Question mark?
I mean, at first I wasn't really huge on. I'm just gonna jump right into mine. I wasn't really huge on. This is just gonna be terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really huge on the idea.
You have
of the,
save states though.
Right, but where am I gonna save state? Like literally 2 steps after I start playing the stage.
Sure.
I mean,
okay. Well, do you know the correct boss
if
order?
I'm making it, no, but I'm assuming. Now I don't know, but I'm assuming that the bosses are pretty much gonna be the same as.
Let me look up a boss order for you, just in case.
There probably is one. Minus Infinity is surprisingly the less well known of the two, so I couldn't find much on that. But BCast probably does have, just because of the community around it.
Burst Chaser, Air Sliding, boss order. Okay. Okay, let's see. Oh, everything on here is just speedrunning.
What?
Everything on here is just videos of people speedrunning.
Oh, yeah?
Burst Chaser, Air Sliding. Burst Chaser, Air Sliding, walk through. See if there's anybody who's posted some sort of a guide to.
I probably won't make it to a boss tonight, so. Why the oh gosh. This starting you back at the beginning thing, man.
That's what save states are for.
But I don't feel like I'm making like enough progress, I guess, to save state at any point. But
well,
and by the time I get somewhere I do feel like I've made progress, I've got so little health that I'm not going to be effective at anything anyway.
Yeah, I'm not finding any kind of walkthroughs or guides. So yeah, you're on your own.
So anyway,
okay. So topic.
Yeah, so I wasn't too like. Of course, I was excited, but I wasn't too like keen on the idea of the the Final Fantasy VII remake because of how fundamentally they're changing it. But after I've done some more research on it, apparently they're keeping the original story intact and they're adding to it. So the original story is going to be intact. Mm-hmm. It's not. They're not reimagining the entire story. They're just adding probably some elements from the compilation of Final Fantasy VII in there. Maybe some new ideas or whatever.
Right. Okay.
Now, as far
as
huh?
Oh, go ahead. Finish.
Well, I mean, it's a very heavily story-driven plot, game. So story is important. Mm-hmm. And then when it comes to the fact that it is a remake, it's not a remaster. It's not like you're not playing this to get the Final Fantasy VII experience, right? You're playing this as a new experience, as an already a Final Fantasy VII fan.
No, not necessarily. One of the stated goals of this remake is to create a new Final Fantasy VII, a Final Fantasy VII experience for a new generation.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, there's going to be a lot of people who are playing this under the guise of it being Final Fantasy VII.
Right. Well, true. Yeah.
Built for them.
But it's called. It is actually going to be called Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Sure.
So it's. I mean, like, if you want the original experience, go back and play the original game.
Right.
Not saying that I wouldn't love to see an actual, legit remake of Final Fantasy VII remastered.
Right.
But the more I've researched it, the more I looked into it. And I didn't look into it. I didn't spend like hours looking into it, but just for the sake of the stream, I looked up some things. Mm-hmm. And like the battle system, I mean, if it's going to be more like Kingdom Hearts, like it's going to be like from what I gathered, a kind of a merge between the two, like a hack and slash Kingdom Hearts type hack and slash. With some strategy elements added in. Right. So Final Fantasy 15's battle system. Maybe so. And I haven't played Final Fantasy. Which is a Final Fantasy 15's battle system is a kind of shit. It's kind of shit. I mean, it's okay. I actually kind of like it, but it's not good. I kind of like it, but it's not good. Okay. Yeah. Okay. No, it's. I get what they were. I see what they were going for there, but they did not achieve what they were going for. I mean, so the thing is, would you say Final Fantasy 15 is better than anything you know about Final Fantasy 13? I don't have any context for that because I've never played Final Fantasy 13. I know you haven't played it, but I know you've heard of or you know about it. Well, that's I don't know anything about what the game. I literally know nothing about it, actually, to be honest. All I know is final hallway jokes, right? Yeah. I know final hallway jokes, but that has nothing to do with how you actually like. What's the battle system like? I don't know. I don't know. I just know that you can only walk in a straight line. That's what I know. In Final Fantasy 15, you can't just walk in a straight line. So it's better in that respect, I suppose. But my point is that, like, okay, all right, so. You said they're not going to be changing the story; they're just going to be adding to the story. Right. But is it not like fair to say that by adding to a story, you are changing the story? I mean, that's a fair point. I'm just saying, like, there are so many things that I guess are considered canon in the Final Fantasy VII universe now. That maybe they're just merging some of those together. Sure. Not necessarily changing anything like that's new, but putting in but giving allusions to the other parts of the Final Fantasy VII universe, canon universe. But here's the thing though: the other parts of the Final Fantasy VII canon universe are not real; they're fan fiction, just like the new Star Wars movies are. Mm-hmm. Because the actual original creators of Final Fantasy VII were not involved in any of the compilation of Final Fantasy VII stuff. So Tetsuya Nomura
pretty much led the whole compilation of Final Fantasy VII stuff, and his role in Final Fantasy VII was character designer.
Right.
So as far as the actual story and like what really, like the people who really mattered in the development of Final Fantasy VII's story, were not don't even work for Square anymore. Didn't work for Square anymore when the compilation stuff was done.
Right.
So like it's just as much fanfic as, you know, new Star Wars movies are, you know, rather than, you know, it's just corporate backed, you know, properly licensed fanfic.
Right.
And I would say that that's real bad, because like a perfect example, you know Best Guy Ever. He's like the world's biggest Final Fantasy VII fan. Yep. Yep.
Wow.
He's like the world's biggest Final Fantasy VII fan.
Right.
It's his favorite of all time. And his biggest complaint with Final Fantasy VII as it is now, like the Final Fantasy VII canon, quote unquote, is that the original was such a personal. The original game's storyline was so personal for the creator, and I don't even know who the guy who directed the game was. I forget who it is, but it wasn't Sakaguchi, was it? Sakaguchi, I think, was pretty much done. Yeah, no, I don't know. Could have been Sakaguchi, maybe not. I don't think it is. I think Sakaguchi's last game was 6, right?
I don't know.
That seems right? Okay, well, anyway, the point is that you know, it was a very personal story for him, because his mother died during development of the game, and so a lot of the storyline elements had to do with his coping with that.
Right.
The live stream concept and stuff was like things that he came up with as part of his coping with his mother's death.
Right.
And so, like, with it being such a personal story, it not being written, any additions not being written by him, is kind of, you know, like, it doesn't seem like it counts, right?
Right.
And then the other thing is, like, I haven't played Final Fantasy VII, so of course this all comes from the perspective of just hearing from other people who are extremely passionate about it. Mm-hmm. But Final Fantasy VII, I understand, has a very ambiguous ending. Yes. That leaves it up to your interpretation as a player as to what happens, and poses philosophical questions that Final Fantasy VII Advent Children goes and just completely robs you of the ability to ponder.
Well, that's not necessarily true, because the very end of Final Fantasy VII, spoilers for anybody who hasn't played it, the very end of Final Fantasy VII is 100 years in the future. Advent Children is 2 years in the future, so it doesn't really ruin anything.
What do you mean?
The very, very end of Final Fantasy VII?
What are you talking about, the very, very end? My understanding is that
like after the credits sequence, like the last part, the last thing that happens in Final Fantasy VII.
The last thing that happens being Red 13 and his kids running around in a desert wasteland?
Yeah.
How does that not ruin it? The whole, my understanding is that they use, whatchamacallit, Holy? Is that what it is? They use Holy. And the question, and my understanding is that the question when using Holy is humanity going to be wiped out when using Holy as well?
Right.
And the game leaves it ambiguous by showing you the future where no humans are seen. You know, Red 13 is there, but he's a dog.
Right.
You know? And so it leaves you with the question of, did Holy wipe out humanity? Did using Holy wipe out humanity?
Yeah.
Is humanity just inherently a curse, a scourge, like a scourge on the earth, right? And does humanity, like, should humanity be wiped out?
Yeah.
As like you know, payment for their sins, right?
Right.
And Advent Children absolutely takes that question, like, just takes away the ability for you to ponder that question,
on the
right?
end because I haven't played through Final Fantasy VII probably 6 or 7 years.
Okay.
I played through it. I've played through it. It was probably before True was born.
Okay.
That I played through it. So
based on the very passionate rantings of Best Guy Ever, I understand the end of the story to be very ambiguous because you know, because they use holy, and you don't get a resolution as to whether or not like everyone survived. Like they of course stop the meteor from hitting the Earth, but they don't know but the consequences of using holy are never like explicitly confirmed.
Right.
And left up to you to ponder.
I'm trying to remember how the actual game sequence ends. Does it end with the meteor crashing into the Earth and holy and the live stream stopping it?
I don't know.
Is that the end? I really
I've never
can't
seen
remember.
it. I've got to be honest with you. I've never seen it. But like, okay, so regardless of what the reason is, you know, of exactly what happens, you're in agreement with me that that the game did have an ambiguous ending, and that Final Fantasy VII Advent Children completely...
Dude, Advent Children was the worst. Like
completely eliminated the ambiguity of the ending, right?
Yes, and also it was just a bad movie. It was a bad story.
It was really cool and flashy and stylish, and I really loved it, but it was bad.
For the time, the animation was incredible.
The animation is still pretty good, even now.
Like I seriously watched that for the Sephiroth fight and the remix of One Winged Angel.
Right.
Like that's why I watched that movie. That's what I watch when I pull out that movie. I watch that fight scene.
Yeah.
Which is in and of itself stupid. Like the
main selling point is the remix of One Winged Angel. It's awesome.
Right, it is awesome, but the fight is cool, but the dialogue is retarded.
Well, sure. Sure. But yeah, no, it's not a good movie, but you know, like it's cool though.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a terrible movie, and you know, it is fan fiction, you know, in the same way.
Right. Popcorn?
I think so. She does that. Excuse me. It's fan fiction, you know, but that's fine. That's fine. It's just that it hurts people who care about it, right? And I think that's something that. Okay, like, did you ever play Crisis Core?
No.
I didn't either. Did you ever play Dirge of Cerberus?
Yes.
Is that good?
I like it. It's bad, but I like it.
Does it do anything good for the story of Final Fantasy VII?
It actually does, because it gives some backstory on Vincent Valentine, which is really cool because he's a very mysterious kid.
Okay, so I've got a question to pose to you then, because that's what I've heard before too, is that it gives backstory on Vincent Valentine, who is a very mysterious character.
Right.
Well, my question is, if you give backstory to a mysterious character, are you not taking away some of the mystique of him as a character? Like, if the game originally didn't tell you much about him and had him be mysterious,
but you do know enough about him to know that he was part of Shinra's army, and then he became an experiment and all that.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I like it. I do. I really enjoy it. I'll tell you what sucks. Advent Children sucks. Dirge of Cerberus got panned, but I like it. I enjoy it. It's fun times. The story I feel like is fun. I don't, well, not fun. It's kind of depressing actually. But, and you know what? It's a third-person shooter, and we don't have enough of those. We don't get any more third-person shooters. You know, we get first-person shooters.
What we get. Dude, where were you for the entire last generation of game consoles? Every game was a third-person shooter.
I mean,
every PS3 game was a third-person shooter. Every PS3 game.
Well, I thought most of the games were like Call of Duty and stuff. Isn't that first-person?
Yeah, Call of Duty's first-person, but Call of Duty's the only first-person shooter that sells.
Oh.
Every game's third-person. That's like the default, and it's carried over.
We weren't getting third-person shooters in the PS2 era.
And then they realized, oh shit, third-person shooters. Yeah. Hey, did you play that Dirge of Cerberus game? We need to make some of that.
That game was a massive
No,
hit.
but like, the Uncharted games, they're all third-person shooters.
Dude, I don't play video games, I don't know what Uncharted is.
Like the biggest, it's one of the biggest franchises in the like 2000s era of video games.
I don't know what that is. I've heard of it. I've heard the name.
Uncharted's awesome. It's great. It's good stuff. You should definitely play it on your PS3. I've got all of it, or your PS4. You could borrow my.
I really want to play Nino Kuni.
Yeah, me too. I've got it. I will play it. I'm actually playing the original Nier right now.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
You told me that. It sucks.
It's not great. It's clearly was developed by a less talented team than Platinum Games. So,
right.
You know, movement and like battle mechanics are kind of shit. It's real stiff and clunky feeling, you know.
You know what's kind of shit? This boss battle.
Yeah, I've been noticing that you've been making no progress.
Hold on, do I have any? I do have a life. Well, fuck this.
Oh yes, die, please.
I'm just fighting him over and over with 1/4 health.
I imagine you'll do much better here. Save state, please.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Okay. Oh, well, this is gonna go a lot better.
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna go ahead and go in there with a full charge.
Okay, so yeah, so we awesome. So we've established that Final Fantasy VII Remake might add some stuff. Will definitely add some stuff, right?
Yes. Whether it'll be actually adding or subtracting, I don't know, but I do know that.
See, I believe, Jeremy. I am firmly in the camp of that adding can subtract.
No, yeah, me too.
You know?
But here's the thing.
Like for example,
I'm not like a legalistic like super fan of anything. So like for me, getting extra content for something I like, cool, whatever. Like I don't care because I'm not like this.
Well,
super by the book. Like everything has to be exactly right. You know.
Okay, yeah.
Like,
I get what you're
saying.
saying.
People who hate The Last Jedi, and you like The Last Jedi.
I did like.
I haven't seen it, so I don't have a judgment.
Okay, I would like to say right now.
I love the original Star Wars trilogy. I think it's gold, but I don't think that I would go into that movie going, well, if this detracts from the original Star Wars trilogy, then I'm gonna hate it. Like I'm not that kind of person when it comes to media. So
I'd like to state right now, because you know everybody who likes The Last Jedi gets shit on all the time.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, like, I fully acknowledge its problems. Yeah. I recognize that it has problems. They are numerous. I totally get it. Yeah. I still thought it was a good time, and I still thought it was the most different and interesting, you know, story in a Star Wars movie since, like, Star Wars movies started having the same story over and over again, which is all of them. So it was the most unique Star Wars movie. And I thought, and I liked it because of that. I fully recognize all its faults. So there you go. But yes, I get what you're saying. But here's the thing: if you were a fan of a series, right? Let's say there was a series. Let's back it up away from Final Fantasy VII, because Final Fantasy VII really is just a game that they kept on tacking on side, you know, things to, and see unnecessary sequels. But let's just say, for example, a series of things, like Star Wars, for example, or my example, which would be Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
If they keep making stuff for a series that is great, right? And the stuff starts being bad quality, bad stuff that starts trying to make bad explanations for things that happened in other parts of the series that were good.
Yeah.
Does that not detract from the series as a whole for you? Do you not see let's say for example that a key plot point in a previous game or story. Let's just take it out to story in general. Let's say a key plot point in a story that was left ambiguous intentionally for you to kind of be like, oh wow, what a cool strange thing that was.
So like because you guys think it's not ambiguous, I do. The ending of Trigun. If they came out and said, yes, Vash let him live, or he killed him, like, would that detract to me from it?
No. Well, no, because that's just like one or the other. Like, I guess it just depends on what camp you're in for that, for like what you think is the correct ending to it. What I'm saying is, I'll just use a specific example from Metal Gear Solid, because that's the one I'm thinking about right now. But let's just say that in one game, they. I'm trying to think of a specific example of something that got fucked over in Metal Gear Solid 4. Let's say that like there was this mysterious group of bad guys, you know, this super mysterious group of bad guys called the Patriots. Let's just say that there was such a thing as that. And let's just say that was for the entire series up to that point. The Patriots were this dark unknown looming in the background, and you were like seriously, like the Patriots were seriously like a cool, interesting, ooh, what a mysterious thing. And then in a later game, they come out and end up telling you that the Patriots are actually this goofy cast of characters from one of the previous games, but they all turned evil all of a sudden for no like justifiable reason.
Okay.
And then you're like, well, shit. Now all of the coolness of the mysteriousness of the Patriots for all those other games, I now can't unknow that that Hideo Kojima has decided that these goofy characters from Metal Gear Solid 3 that I loved in Metal Gear Solid 3 because they were fun, goofy characters that were your friends.
Right.
Ended up going evil for no reason and becoming a massive, all-powerful, behind-the-scenes Illuminati-esque, supervillain.
Right.
Like, that sucks, and it makes me not like the whole series as much. Yeah. Because you can't, once you've been told something, you can't unknow it to go back and experience the old story back when it was a mystery. Right. You know? Or let's say I don't know. Let's say there's a character who called Vamp, who's a vampire, right? Yeah. He's a vampire. And you fight him and you kill him over and over again, but he just won't die. Right. Right? Let's just say that's the case. And for the game he's in, Metal Gear Solid 2, in this example, he's just a mysterious, there's just like he's a vampire, right? And you're like, he can't just be a vampire, but I have nothing else to go on, so he must be a vampire. Then in, let's say, Metal Gear Solid 4, you find out that nanomachines were keeping him alive all the time. Well, that sucks too, because now when I play Metal Gear Solid 2, I'm thinking, yeah, he's just got nanomachines in him. I'm not thinking, why is this guy actually a vampire?
Right, true, okay, yeah. I mean, I guess that makes sense. I just, with Metal Gear Solid, I just kind of feel like everything's kind of wacky and loopy all the time. So, like, whatever explanation they come up with, it's just as goofy as the other explanations that they would have for it.
But here's the thing, though. The answer is to not explain it.
Right.
Like they did all the way up until Metal Gear Solid 4. Right. It's like the whole game was full of mystery and like conspiracy and fan theories. All like it was a breeding ground for fan theories. Right. And in Metal Gear Solid 4, Hideo Kojima just like diarrheaed out all of his ideas, all of his fan theories about his own game. And that's Metal Gear Solid 4, it is by Hideo Kojima, the creator of the games, but I consider it to be his fanfic for the game.
Yeah.
Because his explanations are all stupid.
Yeah.
I love the guy, but man, he needs an editor, and that was what happened in Metal Gear Solid 4, is that he co-wrote Metal Gear Solid 1 through 3 with another writer. Right. And that guy left Konami. Yeah. When Metal Gear Solid 4 was in development. So Hideo Kojima no longer had his partner to edit him and keep him in check.
Because Hideo's a little wacky.
He is. He's totally whacked out. And I love the guy. I love him. I love his ideas. I love that he will do things that nobody else would do. Like, his ideas for stories are totally whacked out, but the man needs an editor. Right. He needs somebody to be able to tell. He's George Lucas, you know? Right. He's a guy with great ideas who needs someone to be... who definitely needs someone there to tell him when no. Right. no, Hideo, we're not doing that, but, maybe we can make this work,
Just mentioning George Lucas, I've gone back and I've watched the... I've gone back and watched the original trilogy the special edition, and there are so many times where I facepalm, like it's just literal facepalm. The actual act of facepalming with my kids sitting there, because I'm like, I remember, you know, the greatness of these, like in their full glory.
Yeah.
And I'm watching these with my kids and hoping they don't notice how stupid some of that shit is. Like just why did you have to add that in? Like, why was this necessary? Like it will be the same scene with some goober like CGI bullshit plastered over the top. Like they just green screened in some. So
that's
CGI
that's a perfect example of this topic in film.
Yeah. That was my segue. Like that was my segue
absolutely.
into Star Wars. Like we're talking about Star Wars. Like that. See now, I'll go back to Final Fantasy VII real quick, and then I'll go to Star Wars. So Final Fantasy VII, they're adding new content. I think I'll enjoy it. I don't think that I'm going to dislike it. Okay. I might look at it and go, that's not really how I see it or how I always viewed it or imagined it. I mean, of course, Final Fantasy VII was a significant part of my teenage years. But I don't think I'm going to... Like, just like with Advent Children, I appreciate it for what it is. It's a fun, flashy movie about my favorite video game characters.
Right.
That is a fun romp, you know, fun good time if you don't take it seriously. That's how I feel about the remake.
Sure.
Now about the original Star Wars trilogy and the remake, or not the remakes, but the special editions of those, that's taking a piece of art and shitting all over it.
Right.
Like that's a different thing altogether to me.
Absolutely.
Backwards.
I think you are. I think you are.
So that's yeah. Go ahead.
I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. Side note on the Star Wars special editions. Have you ever tried to watch Star Wars trilogy on MyPlex?
No.
On MyPlex server? You should do that. Mine is. Have you ever heard of the Star Wars Despecialized Edition project? Okay, so what it is that there's a group of people on the internet, a whole crew of people on the internet who have painstakingly remastered the Star Wars trilogy and removed all of the special effects to restore it to its original. So what they've done is...
Well, why can't you just... Did you not... Oh, it's a remastered version, but no CGI.
Yeah, so they've taken the Blu-ray versions of the movies, and they have taken all of those... the high quality scenes, you know, high quality stuff from the Blu-rays that didn't have any CG added to them, and they've spliced that into 35mm scans from 35mm prints they've acquired of the original trilogy from its original theatrical run, and they've basically built the best possible. Currently, the best possible way you can watch the original trilogy with no bullshit.
And it's a totally unlicensed product?
Yeah, it's totally not legal.
Wow.
But it's out there, and I have all of them.
Okay.
And it's amazing. Good job, guys. All you out there who did that, who are involved in the project, it's great. They also did... they also recolored it. Because apparently in every version since the original theatrical version, they've tweaked the coloration of the movie, color grading and stuff, and so they recolored it to match the original prints. Okay. So it really is the purest possible example of the original trilogy out there, and there, you know, at some point, you know, Disney is going to release an original trilogy with no special edition.
I think it's so stupid that you can't buy it.
They'll do it.
I mean, no, but here's the thing. Like, don't you think the general population would rather have the not specialized?
Well, sure, but here's the thing, Jeremy. George Lucas is the problem.
Yeah. Does he still think that crappy, shitty 2000s, 1996, whatever CGI is the way you should enjoy that?
George
movie?
Lucas says his thing on the special editions has always been, this was my original vision for the movies, but it wasn't possible with the technology at the time. So what we've done here, I see this as being the definitive version of what I envision.
Does he
for
not
Star
look
Wars.
at that compared to like the CGI and the new Star Wars movies and go, wow, this looks like absolute trash?
I don't think it matters because I think he's so deep inside of his own asshole that he can't actually see what either of them look like because he's got shit in his eyes.
Right.
You know? That's the thing. Like it's that whole like, well, this is my vision. So like I disown the original painting as an artist because I edited it. I went back and fixed the brush strokes I didn't like, and I just kept doing it until it doesn't even resemble the original.
Like, that's just not quality filmmaking. What he did in the beginning was actual quality filmmaking. It was painstaking, you know, puppeteering and you know, practical effects and models and makeup and
it's amazing.
And
it's an absolute marvel.
Yes.
Watching those original movies and the original effects is absolutely mind blowing.
Yeah.
It's mind blowing.
And how he doesn't understand his own art is just mind boggling.
It is so impressive.
Yeah.
The original trilogy's effects are so incredibly good.
Yes, they
When
are.
you think about the context. When you think about the context of them, it is absolutely mind-blowing.
Just watching them warp in and out of hyperspace is sweet. Like, that's, I mean, how did they do that, make it look so good? That text crawl at the beginning where it actually is just like words being dragged across a green screen.
Yeah.
Like, how?
Yeah.
You know, how did they make it look so smooth and awesome? Like, that just practical effects like that. I don't shit on CGI. I got no problem with CGI. If it's done right, you know. If it's not overdone.
CGI responsibly is my tagline.
Right. And the thing is, like, I like CGI movies. I enjoy like high action, you know, Michael Bay bullshit sometimes. But
Michael Bay specifically, or
well, you know, hey, look, I think the first Transformers movie was a good time.
Well, look, I think Bad Boys is a good time.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
I do too. I love that.
You know. That's I've never seen Bad Boys 2. I probably should watch that. I understand that's like the one that all the Michael Bay memes come from that movie.
No, dude, Bad Boys 2 is freaking sweet.
I've only ever seen the original.
Andrew and I watched those movies constantly when I was in high school. Anyway, back to CGI.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not a purist about really anything. Mm-hmm. And that may be a good thing, maybe a bad thing. It makes me be able to enjoy a lot more things because I'm not a crazy purist about a lot of things. You know, if it's a good time, and I think this is the way you feel about the Last Jedi. If it's a good time, to me, it's a good movie. Like, I don't give a shit. I don't care, you know, really about the legacy of this or that. Well, I don't, you know, I do care a little bit because I watched the video kind of on Mark Hamill's take and how they treated him. Well, I do care about Mark Hamill's legacy. And maybe some of the other actors' legacy. Like,
I think that Mark Hamill is being a little bitch about this. Actually,
well, I don't know much about it, but
I've watched a lot of videos and interviews from Mark Hamill about this.
I've seen things about him that he's being kind of like respectfully, you know, disgusted by. Things,
I think he's being a little bitch myself. I've watched a lot of videos of him.
Dude, I mean, Luke Skywalker is his legacy, man.
Yes,
that and the Joker.
But here's the thing: The Last Jedi. The problems I have with The Last Jedi don't have to do with Luke.
Yeah.
I think that what they did with Luke made sense and was good character development.
Luke, so I don't know.
It was good. What they did with Luke was good. That was not one of the problem areas.
So, okay, without spoiling it too much for me or anybody who hasn't seen it, what did they do with Luke that caused people not to like it?
They made Luke go into exile and Luke lost hope.
Yeah.
And that's what bothers Mark Hamill so much about it, because Luke he would never lose hope.
He went into exile just like fucking Ben Kenobi and Yoda.
He would never lose hope, Jeremy. According to Mark Hamill, this could never happen. Luke would never lose hope. But according to me, looking at him as a person and looking at the story they constructed for him, I'm like, yeah, this makes sense and is good character development for Luke, because Luke is not a good character in the original movies. And
Yeah.
what they did with this made him into a real person, I think.
Right.
Like The Last Jedi, what they did with Luke in The Last Jedi, I think is the best thing they did in that movie.
But he's not like an anti-hero. Or
No,
a bad
no,
guy.
he's not. He's just a guy who does not want to get involved because he doesn't want to get involved with what's happening
that's
because
kind of cool.
because he's given up on fighting the good fight because of things that happened in his story, according to The Last Jedi. And I think people take issue.
Are we talking about after the original trilogy?
Yes.
Like things that happened after?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, they constructed the story that put Luke in this position, but what they've done with it, I think, is fantastic.
Right.
I think that they allowed Luke to go from being a not good character, because he's not a great... Luke is not a good character.
I don't know. I mean, I like him, but I know he's whiny.
He's whiny, and he's dorky, and he's like his optimism that Mark Hamill praises about his character is hokey and not realistic.
I mean, is he overly optimistic?
That's Mark Hamill's opinion about it, is that he's the most optimistic guy around.
I've never
that
thought
he
of
would
Luke
never
as the most
lose
optimistic.
hope.
He freaking like whined about everything and second guessed everything and didn't like do what his masters told him to do. Like he wasn't. I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know. Mark Hamill. I don't think Mark Hamill understands Luke's character very well.
Right. Well, he may not. I mean, an actor doesn't necessarily have to understand his character to play him.
Right.
You know?
And I think, you know, yeah, I think that yeah. So regardless, whatever. Mark Hamill complains about it a lot, and I think Mark Hamill's being a bitch about it. I think he's being a Luke Skywalker about this situation. He's like, but I was gonna go to Tashi Station to get some power converters.
Yeah.
Well, like Disney came to him and was like, "Hey, you want to be in the new movie? You know, you can be Luke Skywalker." He's had some tough times lately, and he's kind of in a bad place. And then Mark Hamill's like, "I was gonna go to Tashi Station to get some power converters."
And they're like, "Here's $1 million."
And he's like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
I guess I'll play Luke again. Yeah. So
well,
like,
okay, so I've seen a couple of videos from different people who, you know, are probably Star Wars purists, and they're all about like how they basically defamed Luke's character and treated Mark Hamill like shit. And I don't know.
Well, maybe they treated Mark Hamill like shit. I don't know. I don't know how they treated him, but I mean, I'm assuming they treated him like they treat actors whenever they hire actors to play in movies. But you know, who knows?
I think the story. Now I have to rewatch the videos, but the story that I remember from. I mean, I watched them like months ago. The stories I'm remembering from these videos that I've watched are people complaining about like how, you know, basically he was like sorry, I'm trying to there we go.
Trying to not
I'm trying to not save state over.
Yeah.
Which I mean, wouldn't
do you have a life right now?
I do actually. I need to die and then save state.
Yeah. You remember you were trying to tell me about what the story was with Luke with Mark Hamill.
Right. So he basically I think I remember that he was kind of like really excited and happy and optimistic to come back and play Luke, and then they just kind of like were like, you know what, you're gonna do this how we want you to do it, and it really doesn't matter. Here's your paycheck, like, you know. And I mean, since
is it
Mark
possible
Hamill,
that they told him, hey, here's the script of the movie and this is the character we need you to play?
I guess.
And he was
possibly,
like, but
right.
But I was gonna go to Tashi Station.
Yeah, I mean, it is possible, and honestly, like I said, I don't really remember. All I'm saying, the only context I have for any of this is other people's opinions. Like, I don't know anything about the movie, so I might love it.
Well, my opinion is that Luke in The Last Jedi is a really interesting character that I think is relatable and human.
Right.
Which is more than I can say for anything about Luke's arcs in the other movies.
Right.
You know? So I like that part of the movie, and I don't think that's a problem. I think that there are some. I think there's some pretty weird pacing issues with the movie, and some stuff that definitely needed to be cut just for efficiency, because the script it's got some stuff that just like there was no business being there.
Right.
But and some plot threads that really we didn't need.
Yeah.
And people know what I'm talking about when I say that. There's also some really like some serious plot holes, and just like poorly constructed logic for some of the plot progression in the story. But like it is very flawed, an extremely flawed movie, but does a lot of really cool things that I think are really good and really refreshing to see in a Star Wars
movie. I did see some pretty impressive visuals for it.
Yes.
On a recent video that I watched that was, bashing it. Which was like where Rey confronts Snoke, and like he kind of pulls her up the ramp or whatever with the Force, like Force pulls her and then pushes her up in the air, and she's just kind of hanging in the air.
Yeah.
I mean, it's it's just all wires and whatnot, but it's cool. Like it looks, it's nothing impressive about the way they did it.
Right.
But it looks cool.
Sure.
Like a lot of the visually, it seems like it's probably a good time.
It is. Very cool. Has the best fight scene of any Star Wars movie.
Who's that?
Period. It's a fight scene. It's the best like lightsaber.
Yeah.
It has the best lightsaber duel.
Who is it between?
It's between. That's a spoiler. Actually, I can't tell you.
Okay.
I can't tell you because it would be a spoiler to tell you. But
like who is fighting would be a spoiler.
Who is fighting?
Okay.
Yeah, is a spoiler. So I can't tell you that, but I will tell you that it was amazing.
Okay.
The way it was shot.
You don't have it yet, do you?
No, but I should. I can get it though. I'll Netflix.
I'll watch it if you
I'll
can.
get it from Netflix because
You'll get it. Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, I'll get the DVD for it, or the Blu-ray for it, because I wanna. I mean, it's out, and I should have it already, to be honest, because I did really enjoy it. Out of the modern, the two modern Star Wars, the two Star Wars fanfic, modern fanfic, mainline fanfic stories.
Right.
It's definitely by far my favorite because
better than the Force Awakens.
Because the Force Awakens was totally. Just blah.
I'll tell you what everybody agrees on. Everybody that shits on the new Star Wars movies, everybody that likes the new Star Wars movies, nobody can say anything negative about Rogue One. That movie is fucking awesome.
Right, I really loved Rogue One.
I don't think I've ever heard a negative word about Rogue One.
I know of people who have negative words to say about Rogue One.
What is the problem with Rogue One?
I don't know. I honestly,
fantastic.
I don't know why.
The characters are all likable.
Yep.
Every character is likable. The sub-characters, the main characters, the droids. Every character is likable in that movie. The story's awesome. It provides some not needed backstory to needed at all backstory to the original movie.
But it's not offensive in any way.
But it's not offensive, and it doesn't change your perspective like we were talking about with remakes. It doesn't change your perspective. It leads right into the events of the first movie. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And there's nobody that can say anything bad about
Darth Vader.
Yeah.
The final scene of the movie, Darth Vader hacking and slashing his horror movie way through there is the coolest time. That's the coolest Darth Vader has ever been.
The coolest Darth Vader has ever been because it's taking modern Star Wars, choreography and whatnot, and putting it into an old movie. Yep. And that's just, for one thing, that's really fucking cool. But for another thing, I tell you, Darth Vader is still probably one of my favorite characters of all time. Yeah. Because of how ominous and how dark he is, and because of the retcon story that they threw into the second movie about him being Luke's father, because, clearly that wasn't the plan of the first movie. Clearly. But there was enough. They put enough. I think it flows so seamlessly, and you don't think about it until it's brought to your attention, because they put enough little things in the first movie, like, how did my father die? He was killed by Darth Vader. And then Obi-Wan coming back and retconning that, saying, well, when he became Darth Vader, it's like he was killed Anakin.
Yeah, he was killed. He was killed by the Darth Vader-ness of him.
Says, so what I told you was true from a certain point of view.
Yeah.
So obviously wasn't planned, but I love his character. I love Darth Vader. I think he's the coolest bad guy. Because of his inner conflict. Because of, like, you know, him being... I mean, he was sold out to the dark side. He was sold out to the Emperor.
Right.
And just, you know, in the final blaze of glory, like, I mean, he was sold out to the Emperor to the very end. And then it's just like something took him over, and with his dying breath, you know, kills the Emperor, frees the galaxy, you know, makes him, doesn't free the galaxy, I understand, but makes amends with his son, all in a 3-minute span.
Right.
Like it's like he goes from being the biggest, baddest dude in the galaxy to saving the galaxy, killing the Emperor, and making amends with his son in 3 minutes.
Yep.
And that is the coolest scene from a movie that I can that I can think of in my head right now, is Darth Vader killing the Emperor and, you know, showing his face to Luke. That's probably one of my favorite scenes of any movie. So, love Darth Vader, and I would love to see. So all that to say, I would love to see a Solo-esque movie about Darth Vader.
Jeremy, have you ever seen Star Wars Episode 1, 2, and 3?
No. I mean, just a movie about Darth Vader. Just Darth Vader.
And it would just be called Vader. You know?
Right. And it wouldn't follow Star Wars canon at all. Follow Star Wars canon at all. It would be a completely made up story about Darth Vader. Because I want to see him do some badass Force shit with his lightsaber.
Yeah.
That we didn't get to see.
Are you gonna play more game, or are we just gonna sit in the stage select?
Hey, you know what? I was getting into it. I don't know where to go from here. I did beat 2 bosses though, which is cool.
Well, why don't you beat a third one?
2 bosses in 1 hour. Not bad. Not bad.
That's probably the fastest that Mega Man has ever been played.
Let's go for Dustman. Let's see about this guy.
Okay. So, did we come to a resolution here? On anything about remakes and stuff?
Well, I mean, I have my opinion, which is that remakes or additions to things I can see for their own merit. Like, that I don't necessarily have to... It doesn't necessarily have to be canon or be, you know, pure to the source material to be a fun time. That's right. That's basically all I'm saying.
Do you acknowledge or agree with me in any way that bad remakes or bad additions to a source material can harm your perception of the source material?
Only if I didn't already have a perception of the source material, or if what... Well, I guess.
No, I mean, like exactly what I said before,
about the vampire guy,
where right? you have a story that has a thing that's like what makes it cool and interesting is that it's kind of a mystery.
Yeah.
And then it being explained in a way that is not satisfying at all when it needed to, when it didn't need to be explained at all.
Right.
Like, do you understand how that would detract?
No, I do agree. I do agree with that. However, you know that I do like Dirge of Cerberus, so
right.
It takes a mysterious character and takes the mystery away from him. Like,
right.
I agree with you. I agree with you on your point. I'm just saying, like, that doesn't mean I can't still enjoy it. Does that make sense?
I mean, I can't reconcile the idea of with Vamp, what makes him cool is that he is a mystery.
Right.
And when he's no longer a mystery, you can't unmystery him, you know?
Right.
Like, he will never be a mystery anymore.
I mean, Vamp is actually exactly midi-chlorians.
Yeah.
He's a vampire.
It's nano machines.
He's just a vampire. He's just a vampire. He's just a vampire. Oh, well, he has nano machines. That's what makes him a vampire.
You assume, like, the thing is, it's one of those things where your assumption is that there's probably an explanation that's not he's literally a vampire.
Right.
But but it's like mysterious. Like, what is the explanation?
Right.
Or maybe he actually is a vampire. I don't know.
Right.
That's
I mean,
weird.
Yeah, that's a Hideo type story.
I mean, like, because there's a guy in Metal Gear Solid 3, okay? There's a guy in Metal Gear Solid 3 who shoots bees. He has the power to control bees.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that
it's
never
nanomachines,
that never gets explained in any story. There's a guy. He has the power to control bees, right?
Right.
That never gets explained.
Right.
Bee powers. Never explained.
Right.
And you know what? I'm glad, because I don't want an explanation to why the pain can control bees.
Right.
I really don't want one. I just know that the pain has the ability to control bees, right? And I'm okay with that. You know, the pain is not my favorite boss in Metal Gear Solid 3, but, you know, he controls bees.
Right.
And Hideo thankfully never explained that.
Right.
And
because it doesn't need explanation.
And it's if it was nanomachine bees,
Yeah.
bee control powers, I would be very disappointed.
Right.
Even though that is what I assume.
Right.
It was. No, there were no nanomachines at the time, so never mind. But anyway, yeah. I mean, to me, it's like once the cat gets out of that, like that kind of cat gets out of that kind of bag, there's really nothing you can do about it. Like, you can't undo that as a fan of a thing. And so, you know, explaining things that didn't need explaining in previous stories, I think is actually evil. It's evil, and when you do it, you are committing sins against God.
Yeah. Because
as a creator of a work,
I guess to me it would be more like a letdown and less like a sin.
Well, like here's the thing. Like, okay, so in art, artists have a saying that a work is done when you give up on it. Right. You give up. You work. Nothing's ever finished. Like, nobody's ever satisfied with what they created.
Right.
But there's a certain point at which you give up on it and release it to the world. Right. So the problem that I have with that, with these things, is that it's like the artists behind them, like, get to that process of releasing it, but then later on they pick it back up again and start messing with it.
Oh, you know what? I understand now what I should have done. I know what I should have done. Don't worry, guys. 4 volumes and 2 consoles later, I'm gonna explain this. Okay?
So I want to get into some real shit, Jeremy. Some real shit. Some deep level, deep lore on this topic. And that is, so we've talked about like remakes, like where they're completely just like remaking the game or whatever, adding new content or whatever.
Yeah. And
how that's cool. That's whatever. But I want to get into the deep lore, like remasters, for example.
Okay.
Where they're not actually remaking the game, but they're doing something. Like the example, whenever I explained to you about yesterday, was when I was presenting this as a topic for us to talk about, was Shadow of the Colossus. Great example. Shadow of the Colossus. Well, so there's three versions of the game. There's the original for the PS2, right? Cool, awesome, sick. Then there's the remaster for the PS3, right? And then there is the remake for the PS4. So that's an interesting. This is an interesting one where there are all examples of what we're talking about. The original is an absolute just masterpiece. It's a beautiful, wonderful, amazing PS2 game. It's like the pinnacle of PS2 games. It pushes the hardware far beyond its limits.
Right.
It has serious frame drops.
Yeah.
Because it really is pushing the PS2 to do things that it really isn't capable of doing. But it's an amazing game and a hell of an experience. And if you've never played Shadow of the Colossus, you have to. But that comes with a caveat. Like me saying that, there is a problem with me saying that statement. If you haven't played Shadow of the Colossus, you should play it. Well, I am specifically recommending the PS2 game because it's the one that I played. It's the one that I had the experience with, right? So now, if some random person who's not watching our stream hears me say, you should go play Shadow of the Colossus, well, what does that mean to that person?
Right.
Do they go and they go, well, I have my PS4. Let me go get Shadow of the Colossus. It's on PS4. Let me go get that. Right. Play that game. Is Shadow of the Colossus on PS4 good? I don't know. I haven't played it. Is it Shadow of the Colossus? No, it's not.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of whether it's good or not, it is not the game that I am recommending you. Because I'm recommending you the PS2 game.
Right.
And the PS2 game was made by a group of artists who came together and did something awesome. Right. And their vision is what the game ended up being. And this new remake of the game may be a good game, but it's not the game that I'm telling you to play.
Right.
And I want to play the remake. I really do. But the question that always comes to mind whenever we're talking about things like remakes and remasters and stuff is, what is the definitive version of the game? Right. Like, if I tell you, if I recommend a game, do you like having remakes and remasters complicate that narrative of me suggesting something for you to play, right? So even in the PS3 version, which is just a remaster. It's an HD remaster. It's not a remake. It's got all the original art assets, and for the most part, it's the same game. But it's not the same game, though. Yeah. Because it doesn't have necessarily the same frame drops that the PS2 game does. Right. It doesn't necessarily have all the exact same feels. It's close. It is very close. I've played it. I haven't beaten the PS3 version of it, so I haven't seen everything that the game has to offer. Right. But I've played enough of it to know that it is a very similar experience. And if somebody played the PS3 version, they would probably get more or less the same experience that I'm talking about, right? But I don't know that for sure. I don't know that there's not something about the way that the game plays that's different, because it is a port into a PS3 compatible engine for the game. And while it's clearly very similar, and clearly the art assets and stuff are all correct, it's not literally the same game. Right. And so, to me, it's like, I'm not sure that it's the same work. Right. You know? Like, it's one thing for the... Okay, so, like, people use... Like, sometimes when I've heard people talk about remasters and stuff, it's like, well, it's like, you got your favorite movie from, you know, the 90s or whatever. Right. Some random, like, Back to the Future Part 3. Yeah. You know, your favorite movie. And you've got it on VHS, right? And you watch it on VHS and you love that movie. Well, what if you get it on DVD? Is it going to be the same experience? What if you get it on Blu-ray? It's high definition, right? Is it the same? Yes, it is literally the same. It's just a high definition version. It's just taking the same exact movie and scanning it at higher resolution. So what's nothing is different. In a remaster? Well, the difference with a remaster is that there's no way to just take a game and scan it in at higher resolution. You have to do substantial under-the-hood retooling of the game to make it work on new hardware. And it may be really, really good. Yeah. Like, they may do a really good job, and it may be, like, for all practical purposes, the same. Yeah. But it may not. And I can't guarantee quality, right, of something that I don't know the absolute every minute detail of. Right. Right? So, you know, it's complicated. But like the PS4 game, for sure, that's not the one I'm recommending. Right. Right? Not that you don't know if it's good. Right, but that's just not the game I'm recommending, because artistically it's a different game. Right. Just visually. And visuals are an incredibly important element of the game, or any game, because that's where, like, arguably that's where the art is. Yeah. like the art of a video game is the story and its visuals, probably more so than it is mechanically how it plays. Right. Although I would argue that the mechanics and the feel, the look, feel, story, sound, everything in a game, in my opinion, is art. Yeah. And I think game mechanics are like a really abstract thing to like try to understand as art, but they are, because some, like, games that try to have the same kind of mechanics, one can be really amazing and another can be really terrible.
Right. So
there's definitely artistry there. It's just much more abstract and difficult to explain.
Right. I'm trying to farm, by the way. It's not working out.
I see that. They don't seem to drop health much.
No. Oh, I'm so close.
Anyway,
I'm gonna go for that again. I could really use an E-tank.
So I guess what I'm trying to say, my deep lore that I'm trying to put down here is if it's not literally the same.
Yeah.
With games specifically, if it's not literally the same, is it the same?
Like, I mean, for me, I don't think, like, you and I are different. Like, if I have an NES controller or a SNES controller in my hand, I don't care if it's an emulated version or not.
What if you have a PS3 controller?
Right. And you know what I'm saying, though. Like,
yeah.
It feels and plays to me exactly the same, even if it's not. You know, I could play. I'm pretty good at Mega Man X2. That's the game that I feel like I'm the best at. But I can play the SNES version or an emulated version and not know the difference. I mean, there are a lot of technical aspects of that game that I'm not getting that detail.
Well, I'm not talking about emulators though.
Right.
I get what you're saying there, but
I
have my qualms. I have my qualms with emulators too.
Right.
Because emulators are like by design estimating functions of hardware and not actually being built based on how the hardware actually works. It's based on estimating. It's basically emulators are built on detective work.
Yeah.
They're not reverse engineering how something works. They're simply observing behavior of hardware and trying to construct something that functions the way that the hardware appears to behave.
Shit. Damn it.
Sweet.
Fucking.
Sweet. Sick. This game's really easy. I can tell.
Yeah. Well,
so,
I mean, I just did the thing.
I know, but you're just having to go through this whole area again.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I have issues with emulators, but that's not necessarily the same, because when you're going to port a game from one to another and remaster it, there's a lot that can change there. You know,
Right.
like there's a lot that can change there because you got to do a lot of work under the hood to make it work. And the thing is, like, these remasters are not just emulations, right?
Yeah.
They rebuild the game engines to make them capable of doing things like running in much higher resolution and different aspect ratios and all that stuff. Aside from all the under the hood changes that need to be done to make the game work
Right.
on the new hardware. So there's a lot more potentially. That's tough.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get that again.
Well, you know, the risk is fairly low.
Right. True.
Yeah. Words, thoughts, you know, things.
Yeah.
You get the idea.
Right. I got you. So, like I said, I'm not the right guy to talk to about this, because when it comes to playing a game, I'm in it for the fun of playing the game.
Right.
I'm not in it for the purism of, like, knowing that I'm playing the exact, like, definitive, you know, this is the original, this is the, you know, artist's original concept. I mean, yeah. And maybe the PS4 game, I might have a difference of opinion, or I might have a different opinion on that. But the PS3 version, to me, maybe it's just a more polished version of PS2, and I probably wouldn't notice the difference.
Right. I would say, my opinion is that probably I would be okay with recommending Shadow of the Colossus and somebody playing the PS3 version on my recommendation rather than the PS2 version.
Right.
Even though the PS2 version is the definitive version.
Right.
Because it's the original. And that's the thing. A lot of people will, like, that's a thing that comes up a lot of times in discussions about remasters. Is what's the definitive edition of the game? Which one should I play?
And George Lucas would tell you the definitive Star Wars is the
right, but George Lucas, like, is not the one we're talking. He's not the one we're listening to when we ask this question.
Right.
You know, there's a philosophical question being asked here.
Right.
And the creator of a work doesn't get to have the answer, like, doesn't get the last word on that question. Because, like, okay, let's just say that, let's just say that Leonardo da Vinci, right, for example, paints the Mona Lisa, right? Yeah. And then later on, he's like, I want to do some edits.
Let's throw some red lipstick on this girl.
It turns out that wasn't what the Mona Lisa was.
Right.
Right. It's not this. It's actually something else.
Right.
That's the creator of the work doesn't get to have the last word on what the work is once it's out in the world and being consumed by people. They get to have the last word until they release it.
Right.
And at the point they release it, it stops being theirs and it starts being the public, available to the public interpretation of what it is.
Right.
And you can't change that after it's already happened. You can't put that cat back in the bag.
Right.
It's not possible. That cat is out there, man, and you just can't.
Right.
But I don't know where I'm going with this. Remakes, man. But I would say, like, remasters probably fine in my opinion. Like, for example, if somebody asked me, "Hey, man, I'm wanting to play some Metal Gear Solid games. Which one can I play the Metal Gear Solid HD collection for the PlayStation 3?" And I would say, yes. Please, dear God, play the PlayStation 3 version of the games.
Yeah. Because
the PlayStation 3 version of the games are great. The remasters are excellent.
Right.
They are presented in nice high definition graphics. They look great, and specifically, and this is going to like almost be counter to my previous arguments.
They play better?
Yes, Metal Gear Solid 3 plays better specifically because they changed the way the camera system worked in Metal Gear Solid 3. Okay, so Metal Gear Solid 3 has a kind of a complicated history. It came out and had really shit camera. A really shit camera, right? That didn't work for the style of the game at all. Then Hideo Kojima and team realized that there was a problem post-release, and they released an updated version of the game called Metal Gear Solid Subsistence. Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence. And Subsistence had added features, extra content, DLC, not DLC, it was a PS2 game.
Right.
Yeah, DLC, disc loadable content. And it was great. Subsistence was a great special edition of the Star Wars special edition of Metal Gear Solid 3.
Right.
But it changed the camera to fix the problem. The original camera was like a really high point of view, like top-down perspective, like a angled top-down perspective almost.
Yeah.
And unlike and it was meant to look kind of like previous Metal Gear Solid games.
Yeah.
But the way they designed levels totally changed.
Okay.
In previous Metal Gear Solid games, the camera was always fixed in each room. So you would go into a room and the camera would be fixed in place in specific camera angles. And you'd walk around and sneak around.
Like Resident Evil kind of stuff?
No, it wasn't like Resident Evil because it wouldn't be like all over the place. The camera angles were you were usually being presented with the same general perspective,
right?
But the camera angles were adjusted to match each room, right?
Right.
So the camera was, but the rooms were all designed in such a way that the camera system made sense for those rooms, right? Mm-hmm. In Metal Gear Solid 3, they started the maps in Metal Gear Solid 3 are much larger and longer and sprawling maps. So instead of having fixed camera angles, what they did is they just came up with this one top-down perspective that would follow you around.
Yeah.
But it followed you around at the same camera angle as you were going through these really long levels.
Right.
And it didn't work. Because there were like rooms and like angles that you would take throughout the levels, and things like hidden things that you would not be able to know were there because you couldn't see them.
Right. Because
the camera angle was kind of like a one-size-fits-all for all the rooms.
Right.
And you had a little bit of control over it, like you could tilt it to the side, to either side just a little bit, but it really overall didn't work for the game. So they recognized that it was bad. and they redesigned it to have a third-person, full motion, full motion controllable camera.
Yes.
From the behind, and it was so much better. It made so much more sense for the level design of Metal Gear Solid 3. So that was Subsistence.
Okay.
And that was great, but they took away the top-down camera angle. And the thing is that even though overall the level design didn't make sense for the top-down camera, there were some parts of some levels where the top-down camera was like really important to being able to see things from the right perspective.
Right.
So in Subsistence, they fixed the camera. They fixed like the big problem with the camera, but some of the levels still had design elements that relied on the old camera, which wasn't there anymore.
So they didn't give you an option.
So in the Metal Gear Solid 3 HD, in the Metal Gear HD remake, or the Metal Gear HD collection for PS3, they gave you the option to switch between both angles.
Okay.
So it really is the best. It is the definitive version of the game, in my opinion, because it gives you all the options from all the original versions that you can interchange. So you get to have the better camera for most of the game, but you can still switch over to the other camera for the areas that it is advantageous in. So that's an example.
Boss fight's gonna go. Just like
you just save state, just
load state over and over.
Load until you finally beat them.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that's fine. But yeah, so in that respect, yeah, it's different than it's not the original game, but I feel that it's I would feel comfortable saying it's the definitive experience because it gives you all of the experiences from the original versions of the game, the original, and then the like director's cut essentially of the game, wrapped up into one, and I think that works really well for it, and it's great, and yeah, so there you go. That's how I feel about that. So yeah, I would say that remasters are not necessarily a bad thing, but there really is a question there of quality. I suppose it depends on the quality of the remaster, and I guess there's a case-by-case argument to be made pretty much any time that this happens. Yeah,
I agree. Let me try to think of something, an example like that. Well, okay, so Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts 1 came out, and it's the worst game ever. And then they remade it into Kingdom Hearts 2. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
And it's the best game ever.
Yeah.
So once I get this guy's pattern down, he's not that hard. I just...
Memorizing patterns. It's almost as if this is a Mega Man game.
So anyway, let's see. I guess I just don't. I guess I don't play enough games. I don't play enough remasters or remakes of games to have an opinion on many of them. Give me an example of one that you know I've played.
Well, I'll have to think about that, but I would like to. Oh, I've got one right now. Mega Man X3.
Oh God.
The Legacy Collection.
Okay, but that's
not
the Saturn version.
That is the same. I would say it's the same concept. It's a remaster.
It's
essentially a remaster of the original game.
It's like, to me, it's the same. It is the same as the special edition version of the Star Wars trilogy.
Okay.
Like, they added in FMV cutscenes and you know, and CD quality music. Oh,
it's a perfect example.
Oh shit!
No. Well, you know how to beat him now. So
I forgot his pattern now.
Oh well, learn it real quick and you'll be fine. Oh, Jeremy, save states—they're dangerous, man.
They are dangerous.
We need to remake save states to be less dangerous.
Check it out though. I'm doing better this time than I did last time.
Yeah. Wow, you truly are. You truly have learned
nothing
how to be a Mega Man.
Oh, I was gonna say I've learned nothing about how save states work. Okay, I'm not doing better.
You truly know what it means to be a Mega Man.
Right.
To be Mega, yet also man.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were talking about X3.
Yeah, so anyway, what they did, they didn't change the gameplay, really. they changed the music and the
But it's a whole package. It's a whole. The game
Yeah.
is more than just the gameplay. It's the whole artistic package, right?
Right, and like I said, to me, it's the Mega Man equivalent of the special edition version of Star Wars, because it is the same game but with some bullshit thrown in.
Right.
Some what they thought was like cutting edge bullshit.
Well, you know, and this is an interesting time to talk about this, because didn't they just release a new Legacy Collection? Didn't Capcom just release a new Legacy Collection for current generation consoles, PS4 and whatnot?
Yes, maybe.
So,
yes.
in this new Legacy Collection, I don't know if it's the Saturn version of the game in there, or if they've gone back to the SNES version of the game. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they use the Saturn version of the game in the original Legacy Collection. That they wouldn't go ahead and use the Saturn version of the game in a new Legacy Collection.
I think maybe they learned the lesson. I think that people hated that. So.
Well, maybe so. And if they learn the lesson, then great. But
I think the point of the Legacy Collection is to preserve the original content, right?
I think the point of the Legacy Collection is to make money
Well,
on the games that they developed
Right.
back in the 80s and 90s.
right.
But that's just me. I don't know. But you would think, yes, that the idea would
It's
be
called
preservation.
Legacy Collection. It's
Sure.
not called a bunch of games used to
Right.
make.
Well, sure, but that's really those are fancy. Legacy Collection. That's fancy.
Sure. No,
words
I know,
that
I-
sound great. But I mean, sure. Like I'm sure that's the concept, though, is that it's like you know.
I mean, it's not the time to make Mega Man fans angry. Like, they're releasing new Mega Man games now.
Sure.
You know, now is not the time to pull some bullshit on people who like Mega Man.
Right. No, I agree. I'm just saying, like, well, let's just say we lived in a time when they. Well, okay, we don't know though. We don't know whether X3 is going to be the original or the Saturn version.
Right.
Because you got to protect that legacy too. That existed.
Yeah.
No. But let's just say that it is, just for hypothetically, for the argument that I'm about to make. Let's just say that the Legacy Collection does have the Saturn version, just like the original PS2 Legacy Collection did. If you are like, let's just say that hypothetically X3 is your favorite Mega Man X game. I know it's not, but let's just say hypothetically it is.
Yeah.
Because it is a lot of people's favorite.
I like it. I really like it. It's
Sure,
just
that's not
my
my
favorite.
point though. Let's just say it is your favorite, right?
Okay, sure.
And you want other people to play it because it's your favorite, right? You want other people to experience this game that's your favorite.
Yeah.
Well, if you say, oh man, you should play Mega Man X3, it's my favorite. It's the best Mega Man X game. You should definitely play it. It's so cool. The music is great. The soundtrack's great, man. It's awesome, right?
Yeah.
And then somebody goes, oh yeah, I think I will play Mega Man X3. And they go get the Legacy Collection because that's like the most convenient, practical way they could play Mega Man X3.
Right.
And they go play it and they're like, this music is shit.
Right.
Mega Man X3 is bullshit. Jeremy's stupid.
Right.
Like, is that not a problem for you? That now your suggestion, like your recommendations to people,
Yeah.
could potentially be misinterpreted because this thing exists that
Yeah, that
didn't
makes sense.
exist and is not what you're talking about
Right.
whenever you suggest it to someone.
Right. That
It
makes
tarnishes
sense, but I guess
legacy.
My feeling on this, like, there's a little bit of laziness there, because if you want them to experience the thing you want them to experience, just say, don't play the one on this, play this one instead.
Sure, but let's say that you didn't know.
Oh, well,
Let's just say you didn't know because you'd never played the Legacy Collection because you've had the original SNES cartridge since you were a kid, and like you had no
Right.
reason to ever own any Mega Man X Legacy Collection. I'm sure that's true for some people, you
Right.
know? This is purely a hypothetical argument, but my
Right.
point is that doesn't it things like this, things like these remasters and stuff, muddy the waters of what
Right.
would be a pretty straightforward thing that you know what you're recommending to people, and then and not even just like you personally recommending to people something, like just the legacy of something being tarnished by a remaster that's not good,
right.
right?
I get it.
Because, like, even if no specific person is recommending something to you, like, let's just say, let's use this Shadow of the Colossus example. It's like, what if you just, like, saw a list of, like, top 100 games you must play, and Shadow of the Colossus on there, and you're like, oh wow, that sounds amazing. I want to play this because it's highly recommended and it's a must-play game. And then you go get the PS4 version because I don't know, you have a PS4,
right? Because
you're a modern game-playing person who has modern game console,
right? And
then you play a game that's not what everybody that is, you know, like not actually the game that's being recommended to you. It's not actually the Shadow of the Colossus that people are talking about when they say games you must play. You know, this is an absolute classic. Well, no, this PS4 version is not an absolute classic because it's not the game that we're talking about.
Right.
And so I feel like culturally, there's like a legacy to it that is potentially tarnished by. It's a big old spider.
Is it brown recluse?
I don't know,
dude. It's a freaking brown recluse.
Oh yeah, it is.
Shit, that's a fucking huge brown recluse.
It is, like the biggest brown recluse I've ever seen. Okay, we're gonna take care of that. Jeremy, you just keep on playing.
Okay. So, you know, Caleb was the one talking, so I don't really have much to say right now. Jordan, it's huge. It's like 6 feet wide.
Well, I gotta kill him.
Oh yeah, he's running away. Like,
yeah, I gotta get
you gotta get him.
Sorry, Jordan.
You'll see him when he's in the napkin.
I'm on the podcast now.
Yeah. Jordan, what are your thoughts on remakes and remasters?
Look at his legs.
I have no opinion on what you just said.
Yeah. So what if they decided to? What if a different team decided to remake Trigun, and they changed a bunch of stuff?
I don't like that.
And then, but the animation was better, or at least it was CGI. That's up for debate because they couldn't get Johnny Young Bosch, so they got somebody who sounds kind of like Johnny Young Bosch. But he's more famous than Johnny Young Bosch. I don't know.
What if they decided to remake The Office with new actors?
With American actors instead of British actors.
What if they decided to remake The Office with British actors instead of American actors?
Well, anyway, I'm not a part of this anymore. Bye.
Okay, bye.
That would never happen. They would never make The Office with British actors.
Right. Yeah, that seems like a
stupid idea.
Seems like a terrible idea.
The Office is a really American humor kind of show.
Right.
Yeah. It wouldn't work with
Brits wouldn't get it.
Yeah.
British, they don't even have offices in Europe, do they?
No, I don't think so, because nobody works there, because they all live on government aid.
Right.
Because, you know, it's all socialist, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's what socialism
all of Europe is.
Yeah, that's what socialism
complete
is.
socialism.
Is that nobody works, and they just all work on... They just live on government aid. There's no working.
Yeah.
There's no forced labor or anything. Anyway. You know... Oh, hey, Paul. Nice to see you. Good of you to join the podcast. I would have let you kill the brown recluse, but, you know, you're terrible at it.
And, you know, you don't want Paul's face rotting off.
Oh, he'll be fine. I'm pretty sure cats can... They're fine. I think they're pretty sturdy. I usually let Paul kill the brown recluses, so... No, there's not very... that's the first one I've ever seen in here, actually.
Oh, yeah?
We get other kinds of spiders in here, usually wolf spiders. And I let Paul kill those because he's really, really gruesome and brutal whenever he does it.
I have had literally none of the weapons for any of the bosses I've fought. So
nice. I'm so glad.
I have gone in the complete
You're clearly playing in the correct boss order for sure.
I mean, even though I'm gathering more weapons, you know, I have 4 or 5 to choose from. I've never had the right weapon for any boss.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I mean, I think I've said all I want to say about the topic. And you know, we really pulled sequels and stuff in there too, which I think I wasn't thinking about originally, even though like a lot of my examples have to do with sequels more than anything else.
What do you mean?
And
exactly?
added content and stuff. Huh?
What do you mean specifically? What sequels are you talking about?
Oh, well, like the Metal Gear Solid 4 thing. Like, you know,
right.
how like lots of stuff is basically...
They just add...
Well, essentially things are retconned.
Right.
You know, like retconning of what were, you know, certain plot points and stuff.
Right.
And that's kind of weird. I don't like retcons. I'm not a big fan of retconning.
Yeah, I mean... If there can be good retconning if it's actually adding to the plot or it's something that you wanted to know, and you know, I mean, there is a possibility of George Lucas planning everything from the beginning. Not talking specifically about George Lucas. What? Not talking about George Lucas.
Just like the more like just like the idea of George Lucas.
So what I'm saying is like there could be a possibility that a creator had more in mind and held it back for later to reveal at a later time.
It could be that the creator had like a vague idea of what they wanted to do, and then when it came down to the particulars of it, it's like, oh wait, well this doesn't really work with the first installment of this series. So we're gonna have to just basically pretend that didn't happen. And I get that, but at the same time, when it's like major stuff being like retconned in that you're like coming up with explanations that we didn't need for things, like if it's not important, but it just hurts like my perception of the thing, that like why? You know? It's like, why do that? Why explain away things that didn't need to be explained? I hate you, Hideo Kojima. I hate you. Metal Gear Solid 4 is...
so that's probably why he
it's pretty good.
was actually in prison then.
I like Metal Gear Solid 4. It's, you know, like, it's got lots of problems. I acknowledge all the problems of Metal Gear Solid 4 and complain about them as much as you do, audience. But, you know, at the same time, I still like it.
Is that Old Snake?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
That's I'm just asking if that was that game.
Yeah, you know, whatever. Oh, okay, so now we kind of did talk about, in my talk about Metal Gear Solid HD Collection, I touched on something else I'd like to talk about. I'd like to segue into the next facet of this topic that I was thinking about, which is what can be done, Jeremy, about the Kingdom Hearts problem. Because it's not Kingdom Hearts is not the only game that suffers from this problem.
Of just making up story as you go?
No. The Kingdom Hearts needs fixing. It needs fixing. It's broken and it needs fixing. Okay? And what I'm talking about is Kingdom Hearts is shit. And it's shit for specific reasons. It's shit because it feels like ass to play. Right?
Oh, you mean the original Kingdom Hearts?
Yes, the original Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts as a whole.
No. Kingdom Hearts. When I'm talking about Kingdom Hearts original. Yeah. It feels like shit to play because they didn't know what they were doing. Right? So what can be done about that? Because
like to remake it, to make a better game?
So in context,
like Kingdom Hearts 2.
In context of everything that we've talked about though, what I'm saying is like what is not an objectionable way of handling.
Make the battle system more smooth and fun, and it would be fine. And maybe redesign some of the levels where they're not just so like cryptic and stupid, and just make them fun, interesting levels. Now, that may make some Kingdom Hearts purists mad, but I am a Kingdom Hearts fan to the core.
Right.
And I want that game fixed.
Okay,
because I want to play it again, but I don't want to play it again. You know what I mean? Like,
well, here's what I would argue. This is what I envision a perfect Kingdom Hearts remaster being. Is that you take Kingdom Hearts and make and just take it and just put it on a disc and then you just hand it to someone and be like, here you go, it's Kingdom Hearts. There you go. No. Okay. So you take Kingdom Hearts and you don't change anything, right? Anything about the mechanics of the game, nothing about the mechanics of the game's like leveling systems, the gummy ships, even though no one cares about that and it sucks. Don't change any of that. Nothing that is like
I got spiders on my mind now, and I got my little strings on my shorts.
Jeremy, no, we're not crawling with spiders. They just they get in here every now.
But you see the biggest brown recluse that's ever lived crawl across the wall, and then you feel something on your leg.
Yeah, but we've got Paul right over there guarding.
All right.
See, he's on guard duty right now.
Yeah.
If only you could see him, viewers.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
But like Kingdom Hearts,
yeah. So
make the same exact game. Don't change anything, right?
Right.
Except
redesign the level.
No, don't do that.
Really?
I know, Jeremy. I know. I get what you're saying. I hear where you're coming from, but I think that's where you have to draw the line.
Okay.
When you're redesigning levels, I know they're not great, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of levels in the game. There's a couple specifically that I'm thinking about right now. I'm sure you're thinking about them too.
I'm thinking about specific levels usually, but right now I'm thinking about every level. I'm thinking about fucking Neverland pirate ship. I'm thinking about Monstro. I'm thinking about, of course, the two that we're talking about, which is Wonderland and Deep Jungle.
Mm-hmm.
None of them are fun. Not a single one.
True.
I mean, when you have fucking Neverland as a source to draw from, and the entire fucking thing takes place in Captain Hook's pirate ship. Come on.
But Jeremy, if you change the level design, it's literally not the game that it was anymore.
I don't agree, man. I think that you can get the same, like...
But, Jeremy, what is the game? What is it? It's a collection of levels, a story, and some music and some artwork.
Yeah.
That's what the game is composed of, right?
Right.
So if you start changing, like one of the core...
Hey, the music's perfect, the artwork's
Jeremy,
fine.
If you start changing core elements of what the game is, like substantively, what it is, then it's not even the same game anymore.
Yeah, see, I don't agree 100% with that. I think that they could update the battle system to be more like Kingdom Hearts 2, and I think that they could take some of the frustration out of the level design, and it would still be the same experience, except fun.
I think that my perfect Kingdom Hearts, and I think would be completely unobjectionable to anyone, would be the same exact game, but with Kingdom Hearts 2's movement controls and camera.
Okay.
Camera and movement would be the only things I would change. Because I'm not trying to remake Kingdom Hearts. That's what you're talking about. You're talking about like doing a remake and a re-envisioning of Kingdom Hearts.
No, not a re-envisioning.
But yeah,
the exact same.
You're redesigning the levels of the game. Apparently all of them. Just redesigning all the levels. So you're basically taking the story of Kingdom Hearts and just re-envisioning it into a new actual game.
That would
re-envisioning the game itself.
Okay. That would not only be fine with me, that would be preferable to me. Because I hate that game.
But then it's not Kingdom Hearts anymore.
Kingdom Hearts.
But then it's not actually Kingdom Hearts anymore.
It's not actually that particular exact frame of a game, but it is Kingdom Hearts. It is. At the heart and soul.
But it's literally not the game anymore.
It's the same voice acting, the same dialogue, the same storyline, the same visuals, the same everything else except for some of the gameplay mechanics and the frustrating, over-the-top, annoying, make me want to like throw my controller and turn my console off gameplay of that game. It's so fucking boring. Every level in that game is so boring. It makes me want to cry.
Think, Jeremy, that if the game's movement system and camera system were fixed, that the levels would probably not suck as bad as they do.
Well, maybe.
I think that the reason that the levels are so frustrating is because the act of playing the game is so frustrating that the levels feel tedious because the actual like
maybe so. You know, you maybe get that. Maybe right. Just getting up on that fucking ledge.
yes,
Just getting just being able to see how to get on the ledge.
everyone who's played
Being
Kingdom
able
Hearts,
to see how to get across the pond, or
everyone who has played Kingdom Hearts has experienced the same thing.
right.
That we are
Yeah.
emotionally dealing with right now, which is that experience of watching Sora with his big wide stance, legs wide, spread wide, pants flared out from the airflow of falling down to the ground from the ledge that you're just trying to get onto.
No, falling down the ground from literally the end of the stage to the beginning of the stage, and starting all that over.
And the reason that happens so much in that game, and that the levels are so tedious and frustrating, is because you can't fucking see where you're supposed to be jumping,
Right.
and even when you can, the way Sora moves is so infuriating that you will have to repeat the level over and over and over again until you get lucky enough to get to actually complete it.
Yeah.
So I submit that the only thing that needs to be fixed is the camera. It needs to have Kingdom Hearts 2's camera, and Sora's movement. Sora's movement controls need to be grafted straight from
I wasn't
Kingdom
really
Hearts 2.
considering what you were saying, but yes, that would make a lot of difference. And I would go ahead and say, even though you would say it's not the same game, I was going to say add a few more battle combat options. Because
See, that's actually where I'd like to draw the line, because you're thinking about like drive mode and stuff like that.
No, not that. More combo options, like where like, okay, so like in Kingdom Hearts 2, you have the option to press X a couple of times and then chain it with like square or triangle. Add a couple of those in where combat's a little more interesting and not just tap X. Because that's all Kingdom Hearts 1 is just
maybe that's fine then. I'm not 100% on that.
Some aerial recovery stuff, some blocking options, things like that. Things that make combat actually fun and interesting, and not just tapping X, because that is all Kingdom Hearts 1 was. You just tap X until the enemy dies.
Yeah. I'm not sure about that. I'm not saying no.
Modes or like transformations or magic combos or anything like that. Just change it up with 4 X's in a row makes one combo, and XX triangle makes another combo, and maybe you have some aerial recovery was huge in Kingdom Hearts 2, where if you get knocked back into the air, you can tap square and you'll recover from your knockback, and you'll be in a fighting stance again.
Now, would those be? I haven't played Kingdom Hearts 2 in a long time, or 1 really. To be honest, I've tried to play 1 more recently than Kingdom Hearts 2, but tried being the key word.
Yeah,
I tried. I did not succeed.
Right. At playing the game.
Yep.
Not beating the game, not getting through the game, but at playing the game.
Playing for any kind of extended period of time. But that was, last year.
Right.
Then I tried again, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
I really want to. I really want to.
I want to see the extended story and the extended plot of Kingdom Hearts Final Mix, but I don't want to play it.
Right, I really want to play it, but then I start playing it, and I'm like, no, actually, I don't want to play this, but I want to. You know what I'm saying?
You want to.
You want to have played it again.
Right.
You don't want to actually play it again.
Right.
And I want a solution, because Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming, and I would like to play Kingdom Hearts again. I can play Kingdom Hearts 2 again, that won't be a problem, but Kingdom Hearts is a problem.
Yeah.
And it needs to be fixed. And and Kingdom Hearts is just an example of this.
Yeah.
There are a lot of games out there that were accepted in their time because they were so early or groundbreaking in their particular genre that we didn't know how much they were garbage, right?
Right.
But they still are like touchstones that you want to experience again, but you just don't want to experience what they actually are. You want to experience what they like should be, right? And yeah, that's
the thing is, like, honestly, I kind of just want to play for the experience of remembering where all this started. Like the nostalgia of remembering. Like we're going into like what, the 14th installment?
Mm-hmm.
Like I would like to play it again for just the nostalgia and remembering like it was a simpler time where it was only one convoluted mess of storyline.
Yeah.
You know, now there's 14 of them, and like, but I can't make myself do it. You know, I always start playing it, and then I end up like playing some Kingdom Hearts 2 just to cleanse my palate of the horrific game that I just played.
Yeah. So, yeah. Kingdom Hearts. Fuck that game. Man, I played it so much though. Like I was such a big fan, you know, of that game in particular.
We were big fans of that game when we were kids because we didn't know any better.
Yeah.
And then, but we were still frustrated with it.
Yes.
I mean, even as kids, even not knowing any better, we still hated it. But we didn't know we hated it. We were like, this game's cool, and there's Mickey Mouse.
Defeating Ansem was the most epic thing that ever happened in my
entire life. And I would actually, any day, I would go back and do that fight again. Because that fight wasn't frustrating.
Right.
That fight was intuitive. But the rest of the game is just so fucking boring that I don't ever want to play it again.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, there is, you know, Dream Drop Distance.
Mm-hmm.
You go back into Monstro in that, and it gave me like PTSD flashbacks of being in Monstro in original Kingdom Hearts. Even though it was more fun in Dream Drop Distance, it still was like, but it's still the bland insides of this fucking whale. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to be doing this.
Oh, but hey, wait though, but Halloween Town though. That's a good level.
That is a good level.
That is like
actually
even in context.
I forgot that was in the first Kingdom Hearts.
Even in context of how bad the controls are in the game, it is actually still a fun place to be.
Halloween Town was the only good level. I can't think of another level that I enjoyed.
I think that. What about Agrabah?
Yeah.
I don't have any negative feelings about Agrabah.
Okay. You know, there are more levels to that game than I remember. I'm thinking the pirate ship. You know, I'm cutting out a whole like segment of the game out of my mind right now. So yes, there's Agrabah, and there is Halloween Town that I wasn't considering, but it's 3-2-3, I think. The rings and the gummy ship rings. There's Traverse Town, Deep Jungle, Wonderland.
What about Little Mermaid?
No, that's the worst. That's
what about Little Mermaid, Jeremy?
That is the worst stage. And
but Jeremy. Yeah, that was a meme.
Yeah. It makes me sad, man, because it makes me sad how bad of a job they did on that game. That I love that series so much, and it makes me sad, you know, that they ruined the series with that game. That they totally went in and just destroyed the legacy of Kingdom Hearts with Kingdom Hearts 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's just unfortunate that it was such a new. As action RPGs go, I mean, like the elements that it had going on in its battle system and controls and all that stuff, and the concept for what it was going to be as a game was very fresh and new at the time. And they just didn't like have the experience of having learned the lessons from Kingdom Hearts 1 before they made Kingdom Hearts 1.
That's right.
They
should have known, you know, after Kingdom Hearts 1 that wasn't going to be a good way to make
right. A game. But unfortunately, they just didn't learn it in time for Kingdom Hearts 1.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, I want there to be a solution. I mean, I want the remake that I described, where they just fix the camera and fix the controls of the game and make Sora not feel like ass.
Right.
The control.
I would play that.
And I think that would be all you'd need, and I think it's the perfect time to do it.
Right.
But they won't.
Yeah.
Because if they ever do it, they're gonna be like, oh no, we're gonna make a totally new game. It's gonna be Kingdom Hearts Remake.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have new story elements, and we're gonna build an entirely new battle, entirely new battle system for it.
They could probably remake Kingdom Hearts 1 and retcon a whole bunch of crap in there to make a lot of the other stuff make more sense.
but then that sucks, and I don't want that.
I'm not
you
saying
know,
they should.
No, that's what they
could
will do. If they ever do it, they will retcon all the other stuff in to make the rest of the series make more sense. Right. In context of Kingdom Hearts 1, and I don't want that. That's what I'm afraid of. If they ever do something about Kingdom Hearts, they will do that. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I long for a simpler time. Oh my gosh! This is Daytona, USA! Holy shit! I'm so happy about that. Wow. Daytona, let's go away. Awesome. Yep. Awesome.
Wow, that's.
I'm so glad.
I didn't realize that the music in this game was referenced.
Wow, what all have we missed?
I don't know. I haven't been listening at all. I just heard. I was like, well, that sounds like Daytona.
Oh, Daytona USA, the one of 3 Saturn games we had.
Yeah. That's pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
Of all things to reference, Daytona USA.
Yep. I love it. Good job, guys. So anyway, where's a Daytona USA remaster? You know,
right.
Where's that?
But instead of remaster, they should remake it with modern cars.
Yeah, and modern Daytona USA music.
Daytona. Actually, they should still have it. Like, it should be modern, like real music, but it still should be like the same computerized voices. Mm-hmm. Daytona.
Man, I love that. That's a great aesthetic.
What?
That kind of like DSP based music.
Yeah,
I love it. It's so great. Like those voices that are modulated through like the sound processor of old game hardware. Yeah. It's awesome because it sounds like shit, but it's amazing, and I love it.
You know, they really missed out on redoing music here because it starts out with the singing Daytona. But that song starts out with
yeah.
Daytona, let's go away.
Yep. Oh man, great stuff. Anyway.
Okay.
So, yeah, Kingdom Hearts, fix it, please. Tetsuya Nomura, stay away from it, though, because I don't trust you. I don't trust you, Tetsuya Nomura.
Yeah.
I do not trust you. It's one of those George Lucas situations where I don't trust the original creator.
Right. Yeah.
Like, he can make Kingdom Hearts 3, that's fine. But don't make the remake of Kingdom Hearts.
Right.
I want somebody who's like, oh, hey, we should just preserve the legacy of that game and fix the problems it has, right?
Well, they should have a true fan do the remake.
Yeah. They should have me do the remake. I'll do it.
Yeah.
Square, if you're listening, I've got you. But the thing is, like, I guess that brings up another question. Then is like, is there an appropriate time? Like, is it appropriate in some cases to do remakes of something like or inappropriate in other times? Like,
I mean, I think it would be very appropriate to remake Kingdom Hearts.
Right. Okay. So yeah, that would be a case where it's appropriate because the reason for the remake would be to fix problems that it has that makes it difficult to enjoy, right?
It makes it a bad game.
Right. Well, I mean, let's
Bad game
like
design.
let's just say that Kingdom Hearts is as a video game a work of art, right? That is difficult to enjoy because it has problems with its actual with core functionalities of the game that make it difficult to enjoy, right? So overall, what I'm saying is that the work itself is not bad. It's just got technical issues.
Right.
And so the remake, I want simply to fix the technical issues, but leave the work otherwise intact, right? Whereas an area that I think it would be inappropriate to do a remake is honestly the Shadow of the Colossus situation. I think it's inappropriate to do a remake there.
Yeah.
Because the game itself doesn't have technical problems that make it difficult to enjoy.
Right.
The worst thing that Shadow of the Colossus has going against it technically is that it has frame drops on the PS2 version.
Right.
The PS3 version fixed that. So, I mean, the remaster fixed that problem. But the remake is not actually fixing a problem.
Right.
It's just
unnecessary.
It's just remaking it.
It's an unnecessary
for no real reason.
Right. I get it.
And so I feel like it's inappropriate to do, even if it's a great game in and of itself. It's inappropriate because it doesn't solve a problem.
Right.
It just simply is done for the sake of doing it.
Right. So, okay, so what do you think about this then? What do you think about a remake or a reimagining that's meant to be taken as just that? A reimagining. Not to be considered canon along with the same story, maybe a different timeline, maybe a converging world, you know? Like, what do you think about that? Like, let's take this story and take it in a different direction, but preserving the legacy of the old story. It's its own thing.
Like a ROM hack?
Well, I guess. I mean, I'm just saying, like let's say for the Final Fantasy VII, they drastically changed the story, but then but before they released it, they said this is not meant to be a replacement for Final Fantasy VII. This is meant to be a completely different take on what could have happened. What do you think about that?
What if they released it as Final Fantasy Versus 7?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. You get my point. I mean, why not? Why not have a reimagining, a retelling of a story, and then say, you know, this may or may not be what happened, or, you know, the other story happened, but you know, what if it happened this way? It's like Inglourious Bastard. You know, there is the real history of what happened, and then there's Hitler got his face shot off in a movie theater. Like,
right.
You know, that doesn't make Inglourious Bastard a bad movie just because it told history in a different way.
Well,
I'm just thinking like maybe something like that could stand on its own merit.
I see where you're going with that, but the thing is, they're releasing it as Final Fantasy VII Remake, right? Which suggests that it is supposed to
I'm not
replace.
talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm not even talking about Final Fantasy VII. I'm talking about taking a work, reimagining it, and saying this is an alternate telling of the story. That was not worth all that work I went through.
Final Fantasy Alternate 7.
Right.
I don't think that there's anything wrong with that necessarily, to do like alternate reality, different universe. Like, I mean, if you like
this is what happened in the original story, but what if this had happened?
Like, comic book fans are well aware of this concept, and because that's rampant. Cool. Well done. That runs rampant in comic books, and it's kind of like part of the comic book experience. That you whatever the comic book character or whatever that you're enjoying, there's a pretty good chance that at some point an alternate reality version of it's going to come out where crazy shit happens that otherwise wouldn't happen, you know, in the real world. And I don't know, they seem to be fine with it. So I guess that works as long as
and again, don't just, you know, just Final Fantasy VII. I mean, with any work, with any,
I understand what you're saying, and I'm thinking, Well, I mean, no, I don't think there's necessarily anything inherently wrong about it. It's just that it's all about how it's framed, though. I mean, it really is important how they frame it whenever they release it to the world, because really public perception is a key aspect of what I'm talking about here. You know, cultural perception of what's happening whenever you release a remake or a reimagining or an alternate realitying of something is like really the only main issue, because the original thing still exists, right? So like making a new thing or making an alternate version of a thing,
I was
you know, why
trying
don't
to
you just
stop
save
there.
state there?
I was trying to stop there to save state.
Oh, okay.
That's why I went into the spikes, because I was trying to stop on the edge of the thing to save state there.
Oh, cool.
All right. Well, it is 10:13. We want to keep doing this or what?
Well, you want to go till 10:30? Because I'd like
sure,
to finish.
yeah,
I'd like us to finish the thought here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think what you're talking about is fine, as long as it is marketed appropriately.
Right.
Because like, because the original will always still exist, right? But I think the issue is that people find it difficult, and I understand it because I feel it myself, difficult to separate a new thing from the original. Because they become one in your mind, even if you don't want them to. But if it's explicitly presented as an alternate reality, wherein it's not part of the canon of the original, then it's much more acceptable.
Right. I was gonna try for it.
So, yeah, and I think that's okay.
Yeah.
That's my thought on that. So
I mean, I wouldn't hate for some of my favorite, you know, games, movies, whatever, to have a release like that. You know, to have a like, you know, basically a fan fiction version of the game, like, but it's not touted as like part of the canon of the story. It's just an offshoot of like how it should have ended, you know, what it could have been, you know what I mean?
Well, do you think that that anybody really has the right to say, well, I think I could do it better? My version's, you know, my different version of this thing is, I want to do it. I want to do that, but I want to do a better job.
I'm not saying that it would be somebody saying they could do a better job. They're just doing.
Well, otherwise, what would be the reason for doing it?
Just to see, like, what could have happened. I don't know.
But I mean, does somebody go, I'd like to do a thing that's worse? No, do you think anybody goes into a project like that saying, I'm going to do a worse thing?
I'm going to attempt to do something that's interesting and fun, and an alternate take on something.
But interesting.
I think everybody always goes into something saying, what I'm about to do is better than the original material.
Well, what's the point of doing something if it's not going to be better than the thing that you're... You know what I'm saying? Like, what is the point of doing it if it's not going to be better? Like, if you're going into it from the perspective... Not that you're trying to make a better version, even like in your mind, whatever your concept of it. Like if you're coming to it with a new concept, in your mind as a creator,
what are the fucking weapons that kill these guys?
Maybe there are no weaknesses.
Like, what's the point in getting the weapons?
Maybe Burst Chaser X air sliding doesn't have weaknesses for the bosses. Regardless, I think you should.
This pattern is not too bad anyway. So, oh wow, this is okay. If I came in here with full life, I'm good to go.
And you have 2 lives, so I think you should be able to die here.
Yeah, I just and I'm just frustrated that I have literally 7 of the 8 weapons and still or 6 of the 8 weapons and still don't have the weakness for anybody.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get where the frustration's coming from.
I think I'm going in reverse boss order.
Yeah,
Anyway, no, I don't agree with the fact that when you make something or an offshoot of something that you think that you have the best or better version of whatever it is, you're just saying, hey, I have an interesting idea. What if it were like this? And not necessarily saying that your version is better, just saying your version is an interesting take on what it could have been.
But like,
I don't think every work has to be better than the last. I think that somebody can look at it from the outside and say, I think this is interesting. Maybe others will think it too.
But Jeremy, nobody looks at it and says, I don't think this is going to be better than this other take on it then. Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna do it anyway.
Why not? Why not
because,
say, hey, people may enjoy this. I mean, once you play the same game over and over, you get tired of it. There's another take on it. It may not be a better take, but it's still fun to play. Why is that a problem for somebody to make something like that?
I'm not saying
not
that
intending to make it better than the original, but just to make it a fun thing for you to do.
I don't believe that people do that. I don't believe the premise of what you're saying.
I would do
I think
that,
anybody
so
who is well, but Jeremy, do you go around creating things?
If I were a creator,
but
I
wouldn't
say.
But Jeremy,
I would never say that the
Jeremy,
thing I'm basing this on is worse than what I came up with.
Jeremy, if you were a creator, you would not be you.
What do you mean?
You would not be who you are if you were a creator, because you would be a different person who is creative instead of what you are.
Oh, well, thanks. I appreciate that.
Well, I mean, we are what we are. Like, you are what you are, what you do. Your life, your experiences, and your actions are what have made you who you are.
I think that's an extremely, extremely narrow-minded and arrogant way of thinking. To think that nobody can think that way if they're a creator. Nobody can think in the way of, I'm going to do this as a fun project that somebody might enjoy. Damn it.
You gotta be careful with these save states.
I think that's a pretty narrow-minded and possibly extremely flawed way of thinking, to say that nobody who creates things could ever think from
you need to not load that state. You need to die.
I might be able to read them with this much life.
Well, you're definitely not going to do it this time.
To say that nobody who creates anything has ever created something out of love and for the source material, and didn't think that what they were doing was better than the source material. I think that's stupid, honestly, to say that every
Well, what are we talking about here? You're talking about doing a remake of something.
Not a remake, an alternate story, an alternate timeline, or an alternate way of sequence of events. Do you think that every comic book offshoot they made, or every comic book alternate reality, they thought, this is a better way that this could have happened. Let's make it this way. And then the next alternate reality comes out and they go, well, you know what? This is better than the previous two, so we're going to make it this way. Well, no, it's just...
In the mind of the creator who came up with it, yeah. A creator of a work comes up with the best idea they think that they have. Nobody creates something that they're like,
the best idea they think they have.
Right.
Doesn't mean that they think their idea is better than the other guys. It just means that they had a great idea, so they came up with it and they put it on paper. It doesn't mean that they say mine is the ultimate version of this thing. They're saying that this is my take on it. How can you possibly say that everybody who ever created something based on another work thinks that theirs is better than the original?
I just don't think
that's
that.
Dumb
I think
to
you're not.
That.
I think you're not understanding like the mindset that we're talking about here, Jeremy. The drive to create things is based on. It is a selfish thing. It's based on selfishness. That is the drive.
To create your own thing, but to create something based on something else, you already have to have a love for that thing. So,
not necessarily.
To say that you are...
But having love for a thing doesn't mean that you don't have criticisms of the thing and want to do something differently because you think that you have a better idea for it. Like, if you didn't think that your idea was better than what was already there, then why would you make it?
For a different perspective. I don't understand why that's so hard to understand. That is not a difficult concept to say that I have an idea that's kind of fun, kind of interesting, and what if it was like this? And you put it down on paper. That doesn't mean that the person is so unbelievably arrogant that they think that theirs is the far superior thing.
It's not about being unbelievably arrogant. It's just about being a normal human level of arrogant.
Yeah, I don't think that everybody thinks the way that you do, though.
Well, Jeremy, I don't think that way because I'm also not a creator. But I know how people think whenever they do this kind of stuff.
I'm not saying
whenever
that there's nobody
director
out there who would do that. I'm saying that your statement that paints every creator with the broad brush of they think their work is better than everybody else's take on this one thing is not right. I don't think that you can take every person who has ever created something based on something else and say that that person thinks
of course,
that their
Jeremy,
work
this is
superior.
a broad generalization, but I think that what I'm saying is broadly true. It is broadly true because
it may be mostly true, but the only point I was ever trying to make was that every creator is not like that, and you said every creator is like that.
Yeah.
And to generalize,
okay, it's a
every
broad
person
generalization,
who's
but
ever
it is
created
but it is largely true.
Maybe
and I don't
true.
understand what your original point is anymore because we've gotten so far down this rabbit hole that I don't even remember what you were saying. What was your point before we started this argument? Because the only reason I argued the way I did is because at the time I disagreed with your point. Now I don't even know what it was. What was your point?
I don't know what started this argument.
You
honestly.
said, well, what if you do something about doing alternate reality versions of things and like how that's not a I don't even know what were you asking?
I don't know what started that argument. Honestly, I don't know. We were talking about shit. Okay, I'm done playing the game.
You gotta stop. You gotta stop. Yes, you gotta save state. You gotta use them.
Honestly, I'm tired of the game. It is fun. I do. No, I don't. Well, unless you're like a hardcore Mega Man player, I don't recommend it.
Yeah. Too hard to
minus
just,
Infinity. Minus Infinity, definitely recommend. Even if you're not a Mega Man player. Because it's just fun and different. Anyway, I don't remember what my point was. To get that argument started, because I was just trying to make the point that I don't think every creator is exactly the same.
Right, but that wasn't the original. When we didn't start with that argument. There was a point about what do you think about
Well,
and
yeah,
I simply all I said was
I think that we both agree that would not be bad as long as it was in the right context.
All I said. I think what started the argument is that you floated that idea, and then I said, well, I just simply said, I think that it is pretty arrogant to remake something that already exists.
Oh, okay, I got you.
And my reasoning is coming from the perspective of, like, for example, Hollywood movies that get remade. And you'll see interviews with a director or something, and they'll be like, "Oh man, I'm a big fan of the original, so I wanted to remake it in modern whatever." Right. You know? And then I'm thinking, well, where do you come off? Even as a big fan of the original, where do you come off saying, "Well, yeah, I love this thing. You know, I think I can do it better in modern time with modern technology." Yeah. It's like, well, what about the merit of the original work? You know, and how if you think you're hot shit, right? Why not make your own thing? And so like remakes, I think remakes, like in the context of movies, for example, are like specific example are like particularly unwanted and
gotta say though, man, I think that Ocean's 11 is arguably much better than the original movie.
Well,
like,
yeah,
far
sure,
better.
yeah,
leaps and bounds.
That's
an
example.
I love the Rat Pack, and I love those guys, and that movie is a great movie.
That's an example where, yes, that's true. The remake is actually better.
Yeah.
And somebody probably whoever created the remake probably was like, you know what, this is a great concept. I bet I could do it better.
Right.
That was probably the exact thought.
No.
Was,
I agree.
this is a great concept. I bet I could do it better. And you know what? They were right.
Yeah.
However, Ocean's 12 was shit.
Ocean 13 was a good movie.
It was though.
Ocean's 13 was, I think, maybe not as good as 11, but pretty damn close.
It was really good.
Yeah.
But Ocean's 12 was shit. So that's a stain on the legacy.
was.
But
And it was such a bad concept for a movie too. Like
oh,
the
I
whole
guess
premise
and
of the
and
movie was so
did
bad.
you have you heard about Ocean's 8?
What?
Ocean's 8?
No.
It's a new movie coming out. They're
Same guy?
They're Ghostbusters in Ocean's 11.
No.
They're doing a new Ocean's movie with
female
all
cast?
female cast.
Oh, that's gonna
I'm
bomb
like,
so bad.
wait a second. We already
We saw what that.
We've been
happened
through
there.
this. We know what happens here. Why are you doing it?
Why take a movie with such a legacy and do it? Like, I know Ghostbusters has its own legacy, but Ocean's 11 has 2 legacies.
Yep.
It has the Rat Pack legacy and the fucking awesome, movie series that was the new trilogy minus 12.
Yeah.
Why
Yep.
would you do that?
I don't know.
It's
so baffled.
I would say that Ghostbusters is memeable and is marginally has a marginal legacy and definitely like is nostalgic. But the Oceans trilogy with the old movie as well is a legacy of movies.
Yeah.
And it only happened a few years ago. Not the old one, but the last one.
Well, this one...
Ocean's 13 came out, what, 05? 06? Like, that's not that long ago. For them to already be reimagining a movie like
this
that.
one is supposed to be a canonical sequel.
With, like, relatives of
it's
Danny Ocean.
it's Danny Ocean's wife. What's that? That was Julia Roberts, right?
Yeah. So
Okay.
she's in it?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
But then it's a cast of female
Random.
actresses, like just random female actresses, being led by Julia Roberts. I think
That's where
I think that's the
feminism is
concept.
taking our country.
So, and then like I think Rihanna's in there or something, you know, because she's an actress.
Is Beyonce in it?
Probably, I don't know. But it's just like, like I knew, like I saw the preview for it when we went to see Infinity War, and like as it started, and she's like, and they're like, it's showing Julia Roberts, and it's like,
Is Megan? Or
they're talking about Danny Ocean.
Megan McCarthy or what is it?
Melissa McCarthy.
Melissa McCarthy. Is
I
she
think
in
she's in it.
She's probably
no,
in
she's
it.
not. I don't think so.
She's in
Well,
all
she
those
might be.
bullshit movies.
Yeah. So, but they're like it starts with the scene of her like in jail, and they're like interrogating her about something, and they're like such and such something about Danny Ocean.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh,
Ocean's
I
14's
heard,
coming out?
No, I was like, I heard something like 6 months ago about rumblings about a new Ocean's movie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sweet, this is gonna be. I'm so excited to see this, right? I'm so excited to see what this preview has for me, and it ended up being what it was, and I was just like, I don't want to see this.
Yeah.
Like I was deflated by the experience of watching the preview.
Is any of the original cast in it? Is Brad Pitt in it?
Well, I mean, not from what we've seen in the no. I mean, it's an all-female cast of characters going to be heisting something. I don't know. The point is that I was completely deflated by it and thought, no one's gonna go see this.
Yeah.
Who is this movie for?
Right.
Like I watched, like initially at the beginning of the preview, I started to get hyped, and then was completely the hype was deflated by the preview.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that's really bad when a preview gets you like unhyped.
right. Like I was hyped by the concept of a new Ocean's movie, and then the preview unhyped me.
Right.
And I'm like, I know I will not be alone.
Yeah.
As people watch this preview in being unhyped for this movie.
Well, did you hear any other people grumbling?
No, I didn't. I didn't. But I went through that experience emotionally, and I was like, I know that will be the same for most people. Especially anybody who enjoyed the original Ocean's movies, they don't want to see this shit.
Right.
They don't want to see that. They want to see the crew brought back together.
Hell
They want
yeah.
a Fast and Furious type of deal where they pull the original crew together again for 7, 8, 9, 10 movies.
Right. Well, I mean,
That's what we wanna see.
Because Ocean's 11 had the best cast of any movie ever made.
Mhm.
I mean, can you think of another movie besides the Fast and Furious? Probably, but
Well,
can
no,
you
I wouldn't
think
say
of
that's the
another-
best cast. It's a great cast for what
Right.
it is. But yeah, no, I mean it's
I
an
mean,
absolute
you
star-studded cast.
Yeah, you got George Clooney, you got Brad Pitt. Well, Bernie Mac's dead now, so you can't bring him back. But I mean, just these are my guys, man. These are the guys that I grew up with. Like I went to see a Brad Pitt movie, or I went to see Bernie Mac's in something, or the Bernie Mac show. I love that show. Like these are things that these are actors that I wanted to see growing up. Al Pacino is in 13, and all these great actors, all in one movie. And we're talking 8, 9, 10 stars in this one movie.
Yeah.
And so then to have Julia Roberts plus a bunch of rando women in a movie with the Ocean's tag on it, that's not why you went to see Ocean's 11.
No.
In the 60s, you went to see, Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. and, whatever his fucking name is, Peter, whatever it is.
You went to see the Rat Pack.
He went to see the Rat Pack and whoever else they pulled in.
Right.
That's why you went to see Ocean's 11.
That was the draw of the original
Which is
movie.
exactly why they picked an all-star cast for the new movies.
Yeah, because it was the same kind of draw.
So Ocean's 8 with 1 star and 8 randos.
Yeah,
is
I mean,
not
I think
gonna be the
some
same-
of them. I mean, I think some of them are currently popular female actresses.
Yeah.
But it's not anywhere near the level of
Right.
of star-studdedness of
Right.
not even remotely close
Yeah.
to the level of Ocean's 11 in either context. And I'm just thinking I'm sitting here watching this and thinking, who are they making this movie for? Who is it that's
They
supposed
are
to be
making
excited
this
about
movie
this
for
movie?
the sake of feminism, but the
No,
thing is,
but I'm talking about marketing wise.
Oh, right.
Who are they going to sell this movie to?
But here's the thing: do you think that the current producer, female, whatever her name is, of Star Wars, director, what's her name?
Kathleen Kennedy?
Kathleen Kennedy. Do you think that she, because they've got clearly a liberal slant, feminist slant, racism slant, they're clearly coming in.
Yeah, they're
and
highly racist. They're very racist.
Right,
No, they kinda are.
They are, yeah. But they've got this racism slant, this feminism slant. They've got this. They're clearly coming in at an angle, and they're clearly not marketing to fans of the original series, right? So is that just not the way of movies these days? Is that just not the way movies are going? You got Ghostbusters with an all-female cast for the sake of being Ghostbusters. With an
But here's the
all-female
thing:
cast.
the way that movies go is the way that makes money for movie studios,
But
and
clearly it's
Ghostbusters
not.
tanked
Right.
hardcore. I mean, they lost money on Ghostbusters, and they will lose on Ocean's 8 also. They're only not losing money on Star Wars because it's Star Wars.
Yes, but I think that the disillusion may have worn off at this point.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
at this point,
The Last Jedi did
The Last
worse
Jedi-
than The Force Awakens.
Right.
So
And
they're on a
there's
downward
big push
trajectory.
to boycott Solo just for the sake of boycotting Solo.
Yeah.
Like that's where we are in Star Wars right now. It's not going to work out for them in the long run. But but clearly,
they're on a downward
everybody
trajectory.
wanted the new Star Wars movie. Yeah, The Force Awakens. Hell yeah,
Right.
let's go see Rogue One. But then now the disillusion has set in,
Right.
and now old Star Wars fans are boycotting them. They're not even going to see them.
Yep.
New people who aren't on the feminism, racism bandwagon are not going to go see them. People who don't give a shit about Star Wars aren't going to go see them. So who's left? The people who are feminists and race baiter type people and all that stuff. Those are the people who go to see these movies now. And that's a very, very niche part of the population, even
Right.
though we hear so much about them in the news.
Right. They talk a lot.
Yeah.
They don't account for very many people.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, I think that Hollywood is on a... Well, I think Hollywood is doing the worst thing it could possibly be doing right now. It's letting politics guide what it makes rather than money.
Yeah.
And money should be the thing guiding what they make.
Because that's what makes good
Because
movies.
good movies are made by good financial... making decisions based on what they know will be popular and will be successful, and putting trust in directors and writers who they know make good movies rather than make movies that hit the political
Right.
notes that they want to hit. That's how you keep an industry alive.
See,
That's
the
how
thing
you
is,
keep things successful. That's how you maintain growth. And the movie industry is struggling right now. It's struggling because movie attendance is going down. Even though box office numbers are going up, movie attendance is going down. The reason box office numbers are going up is because prices are going up.
Right.
But that's not sustainable.
Right.
Prices can only go so far until people just stop going to the movies.
Right.
And that is the problem. Like streaming and streaming deals. Streaming is killing traditional media distribution
Yeah.
just overall.
Right.
And that's fine for me.
Because I can wait
don't...
till DVD, or I can wait till Netflix. I
Right.
can wait till, Plex.
But the thing, yeah, right. Streaming giant Plex, Caleb's Plex.
Caleb.
But no, like streaming, the streaming model is killing traditional media distribution, and the only thing that can keep it alive is making stuff that's good enough and exclusive to traditional media distribution, that will make people want to go through the trouble of going to the theater and paying money for tickets and buying discs.
Because given the choice of sitting at home and watching Ocean's 13 on Netflix, or going to the movies and watching Ocean's 8 for $12, I'm gonna stay at home and watch Ocean's 13. That's
Right.
what I want to do.
Right. And so, yeah, it's a time where movies, like movie studios, should be focusing on making the most marketable, most profitable, most well-received movies they can. But instead, they're trying to push a political agenda, and they're making poorly received movies that are not marketable, that no one wants to watch.
Yeah.
And so they're in a bad place right now, and they're in no position to be making these movies, but they're doing it anyway, and it's maddening.
Yep.
Because I think what it is that in Hollywood, I think specifically, there's an inaccurate perception, a completely inaccurate perception of what population at large thinks and wants.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because all these people are trapped in their high society, extreme left-wing circles of people.
Yeah.
And all they ever talk about with everybody is this crazy, left-wing feminist, SJW, narrative of the world, and they are operating under the assumption that because they hear it all the time, and because it's all everyone around them talks about, that just must be what everyone thinks.
They're in a bubble, and they think. But here's the thing:
market
after
research,
their movies,
people. Market research.
Well, right. And after their movies tank time and time and time again, after you push a political narrative in every one of these movies, would you not learn the lesson that political narrative is not the way to?
Well, I think that they've been. I think that what they've been doing lately is they've been thinking we're not pushing hard enough. We need to push harder. Our stuff is not hitting. It's not powerful enough. It's just not hitting people hard enough. We need to hit harder with political narratives. Because that's what people want. Because we know that's what people believe in.
Right.
So we got to just hit them harder and harder with our narrative. So we're gonna make everything an all-female cast.
Yeah.
Every movie.
Yeah.
We're gonna not have male actors anymore, unless they're minorities.
And the thing is, I have no problem with a strong female lead. I mean, look at Rogue One.
Well, obviously.
That movie was incredible. It had a strong female lead, and it had an actually strong female character in it. And it was a good movie.
I would like stories to be written in ways that are appropriate for what they're trying to be, and characters to just be what they are. Like, I am just like, if you write a good female character, then cool.
Yeah.
Like, I think
But
that's great.
that's
and
what
you
I'm
should,
saying,
you
though.
probably should strive to write good female characters.
Right.
If you're going to write female characters, you should probably strive to write good ones.
I mean, clearly the way to go would be to write strong female characters into your movies rather than just shoehorn more women into your
Right.
movies.
Like a perfect example of not doing that is Star Wars Episode The Force Awakens
Yeah.
and The Last Jedi, where Rey is not a strong female
she's
character
not. She's
at
strong
all.
by
She's an
default.
incredibly poorly written female character who is given strength in the universe.
Right.
She's just been bestowed in universe strength as a physically strong character,
Right. But, it's not
but
a
doesn't
strong
have
woman,
any strength
not a
of
strong
character.
Yeah.
No strength of character.
Right.
So there's just a totally like misperception of what's going on, like what they should be striving for.
You know, honestly, they're giving they're actually giving little girls a really bad perception of what it is to be strong, because they're just saying that if you're born with an obscene number of midichlorians, then you'll be strong. Then you'll conquer the world. So little girls who don't have that many midichlorians, they're screwed now.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think that also they're making bad role models because they're just saying basically, well, you just are strong.
Yeah.
You know, you just are strong because
Right.
you're a woman, right?
Yeah.
And that's just literally just not true. You know, they should have a wide gamut. They should have main characters that are flawed. Like, that's something that has been in male leads forever.
Right.
It's like creating flawed characters who are conflicted and have actual like things that you can look at and be like, oh yes, these are character flaws, and these are things you can learn from this. Like, but right now they're just making Mary Sue's.
Yeah.
You know, and that's all they're doing.
Yeah.
And that's not how you make a good role model, or how you create a good perception of women in media. You have to show all sides. And it's the best thing, I think the best thing you can do to write great characters is to make conflicted characters who are complex. And that's like just not what I'm seeing. Yeah, like Kylo Ren. You know, he's very thick, you know. He's very wide, you know. That's the meme. That's the meme, at least. Well, he is like shockingly wide. But anyway, yeah. So that's all. Yeah. We got a little political there at the end, but not cool. Really though. I think we just got a little practical.
Podcast-like, and also the most debate-heavy of the Streamcast that we've done so far.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we didn't divert from conversation the entire time.
Right.
Normally we talk for about 5 minutes about our topic, and then we go back to like playing the game.
Well, I think we had a lot of good stuff to dig into in this topic, even though you said I don't really have much to say about this. You ended up having a ton to say about it.
Right. I just like from the pitch. From the soft pitch you gave me the other day, like I tried to think of some things to talk about.
Right.
But I mean, it really did branch off into other things that I am passionate about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, thanks for watching, everybody. I know Jeremy has already bailed out of the frame here, but we'll see you next week. I know nobody actually watched live today, but maybe you'll catch it on the rerun. The thing is,
like 12 to 15 views on YouTube, so.
Right, right. So somebody's watching. Yeah. So if you're watching the rerun of this, then good for you. We appreciate you. Leave a comment. Hey, leave a comment. You know what? We might just, if you leave some comments, we might just read some comments next episode. If we ever get some actual, like when we get viewer interaction, we try to, showcase that, and we'd be happy to do that. But if you liked this episode in particular, let us know, because I feel this was a really fruitful use of our time.
Yeah.
And I'd like to try to do that more often. So we're gonna try to be better about coming up with good topics.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've come up with some really good topics. We just say our piece about them, and we usually agree. And that's a really bad thing. We don't debate anything. We just agree on most stuff.
More contentious topics. We need more contentious topics.
Yeah.
You need to get us arguing. Okay, yeah. So anyway, check us out on iTunes. We don't have that. We're not on iTunes.
But
Check us out on YouTube and Twitch. We stream every Monday night at 8 o'clock.
yeah.
Yeah, so scheduling may change a little bit in the future. We'll find out. We'll see you next Monday, though, at the very least.
Later.
Bye.